22 games in the books, and you know what that means. We're officially at the midway point of the 2024 NECBL regular season for the Newport Gulls. The second half officially starts today, July 5th, and it's the back end of rare back-to-back home games for the Newport Gulls after a July 4th loss 12-8 last night against the Keene Swamp Bats. It's a bounce-back opportunity for the Gulls as they welcome the Danbury Westerners from the West Division, a team they lost to on the road a little over a week ago. So a chance at revenge for Newport tonight. Welcome into Cardines Field. I'm Sam Reese here on the Newport Gulls pregame show. We got plenty of great interviews coming up on the Newport Gulls pregame show, so keep it locked in right here. We'll be back in a moment.
I won!
That's a good play!
Since 1974, the Rhode Island Lottery has paid over $57 billion in prizes and contributed over $8 billion to Rhode Island's general fund. Your Rhode Island Lottery, a good play for 50 years and counting.
Welcome back to the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Riley Daniel, joined by one of our lovely gray shirt media interns, Joey Rizzi, and Joey, who towers over me. Joey, what do you do here?
So I'm the assistant broadcast director here at the Gulls. I'm also a graphic designer, so I do graphic design for social media, all the game day programs for the home games, and a whole host of other things.
So that means when fans are at home watching the games on ESPN Plus, you're behind all those graphics that make it look so good?
Yeah, I guess so. Some of them, at least, yeah.
What would you say the most important part of your job here is as a member of the Gulls organization?
I guess just saying yes to everything, anything they ask me to do. It's just saying yes and being here early, getting things done, staying late, doing whatever I can to help.
And what school do you go to, Joey?
I go to Emerson. I'm a grad student right now.
And what are you getting a degree in as a grad student at Emerson?
Sports communication. My background's in journalism, and now I'm doing sports communication. I'm hoping to be a director of communications at some point.
Director of communications, that's a great field. Do you know where, what part of the country you want to you from around here, so do you want to stay up here? You want to go somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to stay local, but, that's what comes with this profession is you got to, be willing to travel, move. So I don't know, we'll see what comes of it, but wherever it takes me, we'll see.
What's your favorite thing to do, let's say, on an off day if it's 80 degrees outside here in Newport?
I would say go fishing, take the boat out, go fishing, especially when it's nice out. It's really nice to be on the water, especially in Newport. It's just beautiful being in the city here, spending my time in Newport. But fishing's definitely the biggest thing I do on the off days.
What's the coolest thing you've ever caught on a fishing trip?
I've caught a mahi-mahi, pretty good sized mahi-mahi. That's probably the coolest fish to catch because they're hard to catch, but they're small fish, 15 pounds or less. But they're a hard fight, and they're very cool-looking fish.
Did you cook it, or did you let it go?
Yes, we almost always cook everything we catch, as long as it's legal to keep. But yeah, I love eating fish, love catching fish. But yeah.
And what would you say your favorite part of game day here at Cardines is?
I would say once you start to see fans start to roll in, you realize that all the work you've been doing for the whole day, all week, whatever, however long things have been preparing. It's really nice to start to see fans as they come in for the game and just see everything come together and the game start.
Fans will be coming in soon, but before we do that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, the pregame show rolls on.
And with that, a warm welcome back into the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Sam Reese, pleased to be joined now by Director of Baseball Ops here for the Newport Gulls, Mike Falcone. Mike, always good to have you on. We appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, I guess first question for you. yesterday was game number 22 of the regular season, so officially at the midway point already. Just how fast does it go by for you where you got so much on your plate?
Oh, I mean, for you to say that is just kind of takes me back a little bit, and you're like, wow, how did that go so quick? How is it all already happening, and how are we already in July? But like you said, a lot going on, great support staff, luckily, and we're hoping for a great end of the season, but we still got a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go for sure, still the entire month of July, and then the postseason as well. Can you quickly go over as well just how yesterday went as a whole? I know last year the game got rained out on 4th of July. Mike Basile was telling me that, even though I wasn't here in Newport myself. So this time around, pretty nice weather for the most part. A phenomenal crowd on hand here at Cardines. Obviously not the result you guys were looking for, but overall, how pleased were you, I should say, with the turnout here at Cardines Field for a special game on the 4th of July?
Yeah, absolutely. No, July 4th is really a question mark for us. You would think it'd be a great crowd. You'd think a lot of folks come out, but with Newport being such a beach community and the fireworks going on, some other folks might have barbecues or family events. But it was really nice that the support was shown by the local community. A lot of folks who were visiting as well popped out. So that was a really great night at the ballpark. Like you said, wish we could have had a little better result, but you put up 8 runs, which was nice to see. Some guys threw well, which is fun, and what we'll need. A lot of guys got some innings, too, that they'll need as we do this stretch run and going down into July and hopefully into August.
Absolutely, and then a busy stretch coming up, to say the least. I think it's 16 total games in 16 days overall, 14 and 13 starting on Monday, including 3 different doubleheaders in an 8-day stretch. So for you personally, I have to imagine, it's a bit overwhelming for all of us, I think. So what's the approach kind of heading into a busy stretch like that, which is bound to happen with rainouts from earlier in the season?
Yeah, I mean, well, welcome to summer ball, right? Welcome to summer ball. This is what we don't we don't plan for it originally, but we know it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen at some point during the year, and really just got to keep rolling with it. I mean, we have a great group of interns, great support staff, great coaching staff, keeping the guys engaged. So really just keeping the pedal to the metal, keeping those eyes looking forward, dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and really just going and working hard each and every day and hoping the fans come out and support, and hopefully the weather cooperates, because after the double headers, there's really not much opportunity to make those up. So really a fun stretch. Again, I always say when it's November, December, I'm going to be missing being at the ballpark at whatever time it may be, even if it's all day for 2 or 3 days of the week. So I'm really looking forward to it and just watching a lot of baseball here at Cardines Field.
You can't take these moments for granted here in summer ball. And one last question for you, Mike. Again, really appreciate you taking the time during your busy schedule here, getting ready for the game. Part of what makes, obviously, Gulls game so special is the promotional events that occur. I know you got a big one coming up with Inclusion Day on Monday, and just great events throughout the season, getting the players involved as well on a personal level. How cool is that to be involved with that and really show that, baseball's for everyone, and that the players can connect with these people on a personal level as well?
Oh, absolutely. No, we had the conversation today. We were down here at Cardines. The Red Sox Foundation, whose night is tonight, did a play ball event, a free clinic for the kids. They set it all up. They get pizzas, T-shirt, and everything. And a lot of the players come out, and they don't have to be here by any means, but they volunteer their time, and that's how we engage with the community. That's how we get those crowds. That's how we get sponsors to come support us and allow us to do what we've done here for 20 some odd years. So it is really that full circle engagement between the players, between the sponsors, and like you said, that Monday Inclusion Day is going to be awesome too. We're going to be back down here with the inclusive population, children and young adults with disabilities, get out for a field day during the day. Then we invite them back here at night. Plenty of other fun stuff going on. And really, that's always one of the most special nights of the year. They're all special, but that one has a nice place in my heart for sure.
Absolutely. Should be a fun one on Monday, as well as tonight, Newport taking on Danbury later on tonight for some Friday night baseball. That's Mike Falcone. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike, we appreciate all of your efforts here with the Gulls. We'll be back in a moment on the Newport Gulls pregame show, so keep it locked in right here.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Newport Gulls pregame show. I'm Riley Daniel, joined now by Wofford outfielder Tyler Hare. Tyler, a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Tyler, got to ask you, it was a little bit weird last Friday seeing you in 31, but it seems to have paid a big difference. You're now hitting .315 since you changed numbers. Is there just something lucky about the number 31?
No, I wouldn't say luck. I would just say good vibes attached to that number. Last summer was a very successful one for me, and I had never worn number 31 before. My number has always been 18. Shout out to my dad. But last summer I wore 31 and had some success and figured, let's switch it up and go back to 31, see what happens, and it started working a little bit, so we're going to stick with it.
And is there any kind of superstitious advice you might want to give the new 18, Drew Blake, tonight as he steps on the mound for his second appearance in that number?
I just hope Blake goes out there and, throws some strikes, and, I think he will. He's a great guy, and I think we got a lot of confidence with him on the mound, so I think he'll go out there and do it for us.
Let's go back to last Friday night and your first home run of the season in that amazing 8-0 comeback. What was the mentality in the dugout, down 8 runs in the second inning? But you guys have shown all year you're a team that can come back in games.
Yeah, I mean, we got a really tight-knit group. We got a lot of confidence in our guys, 1 through 9. If we just stick to our brand of baseball and we put the bat on the balls and swing good pitches in our spot with good timing, I think we'll be all right. I mean, we score a lot of runs, and we've been having really good at-bats, so hopefully we can just keep that going.
And what was the feeling standing on first base as Brody's hit that one halfway to Portsmouth?
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm so happy for Brody. I mean, he got a great pitch to hit and did a lot of damage on it, so that was awesome. I'm really happy for him. He's a great guy.
Speaking of things that are impressive, I've seen a lot of reasons why batters have gotten hit by pitches, but last night might have been a first with you getting hit by a pitch due to a firework going off mid-windup. What was that like in the batter's box?
It was a little scary. I was I was a little on edge. The fireworks were going off all night, and in my at bat, I think it was the 4th, 5th inning. I was a 1-2-1 count, I think, and he was winding up for the delivery. And mid-delivery, there was a firework that went off, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little frightened. The umpire was too, and the catcher was as well. And I ended up getting hit, so made it to first base in whatever way works.
Well, that's definitely an unusual way. We'll see if there are any other unusual ways tonight. Thank you so much for your time, Tyler. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the Gulls pregame show rolls on.
Ready, set, go, says manager Mike Coombs here on the pregame show. It rolls on. I'm Sam Reese, and you see him right here. We're with Mike Coombs. What is that? Was that a count here? 2-2. 2-2 count. Oh, ball 4. All right. You're bringing the energy. I love it. We're now at the midway point of the regular season officially.
Midway?
Yes, last night was game number 22 out of 44 in the regular season anyway. So got some double dips coming up. Yeah, so looking back on what's happened so far before we look to the future, what's your assessment of where things stand at the midway point? Overall, looking big picture.
Big picture.
Yeah.
Offenses, we're putting runs up.
Yep.
Starting pitchers are looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Back into the bullpen's a little shaky right now. And we're trying to find a few guys that can come in and just shove it in there and get us a W. But last night that didn't happen. So go back to the drawing table, see what we got, see what else Chris and Chuck are going to bring in.
So that is the plan, to bring in an arm, if not more than that.
Correct.
Okay.
If it's out there,
Right. Okay.
If it's out there.
If it's out there, that would certainly help. Yep, and you mentioned the double dips coming up, so
yeah.
A very busy stretch. It'll be starting on Monday, 14 games in 13 days.
Nice.
Including 3 different doubleheaders in the span of 8 days. So how do you approach that as the manager, especially when, conserving, that's the wrong word for it, but yeah, you just show up. But in terms of the bullpen as well, looking ahead, is that a concern with those a lot of doubleheaders coming up? How do you approach it?
Well, we're going to have our starting pitchers go, and then maybe here or there we may have a bullpen guy come in as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I mean? Do you know?
Do I know? It's a specific bullpen arm.
Well, no, he's Pacific. He's specific.
There you go.
How do you say that word?
You got it. Specific. So there's one that hasn't started yet that will start in the future. Monday. Would it be Colby?
Ooh.
Hey, we might
smart.
have just dropped a bombshell here on the Newport Gulls pregame show. Just pure speculation right now,
You're pretty
but
close, Sammy.
all right, that shows what kind of stretch is coming up. And looking ahead to tonight against Danbury, a team you lost to.
Yeah, 10-3.
Yeah, 10-3
But it was
in
3-3.
Danbury. It was 3-3 in the late stages.
And what happened?
And the bullpen, wasn't at its best in that game. So you got Drew Blake on the mound tonight. How
Try him.
right? You're gonna try him. How far are you hoping he goes heading into tonight?
At least 5, I hope.
Yeah.
5 or 6 if he can. And we'll see. I don't know. But we got some other guys that we can run in there too. So Stark.
Yep.
I mean, Colby even told me he had an inning or 2 tonight. So I mean, I don't. There'd be a couple other guys down there too. I think.
Okay. And then just a few quick more questions for you, Coach. On a personal note, take me through the last few days for you. We rewind back to Tuesday at Ocean State. A heated game between, I know, I got to bring it back one moment for that. I know you want to probably forget about it. Between the Gulls and Waves, their manager got ejected in the early stages, and then you were tossed for the first time this season in the 9th inning before you guys go on and win in 11. Take me through that, and then last night as well, where you had to sit out, serve your suspension, but we caught you sitting over there with that family. So how did that come about? Because I remember on the bus ride.
Came about because his wife was coming in town the day before, so he wanted to have dinner with her that night and didn't want to have to, be at the game here. He figured he'd just watch it, and he had the walkie-talkie up there relaying signs and smoke signals and all that
Smoke
stuff.
signals.
Well, we caught you on the one of our great camera operators caught you out there. We said, "Oh, that's manager Mike Coombs watching." I remember on the bus ride back from Ocean State Tuesday night, you said, "I'm going to find a way to somehow tune into that game." So, how is the view out there? Because I want to experience
really
a game
nice.
out there.
It's really nice. It's you're right there. You're in your chair. You're watching everything. I mean, of course, it's not as good as being right here. Real close to the action, but that out there is just super. That's the one to the left, the house to the left.
Yeah.
That's where I am. I'm in that house now.
Oh.
They moved me there.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's wow. What a spot that is.
Get dressed, roll around the corner, come in through here. Don't even have to worry about parking in this lovely town.
That sounds like a perfect life to me, Coach Coombs.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
One more for you. Just going back to that Tuesday game one more time. Talk about what led to ultimately you getting tossed out of that game. I think it does show how passionate you are, and your guys got the job done in the end. Just take me through that a little bit.
Well, there was 2 guys, our guys, that were having some issues with the strike zone.
Yeah.
So the one kid got a warning. The other kid was fixing to get the warning, and I took the warning for him. And as he gave me the warning, I talked to him, went up to the umpire and said something that he didn't like, so he gave me a little heave-ho. He didn't even give me a good one. That wasn't even a good one. I said, your strike zone is as bad as your heave-ho. So anyways, I got thrown out. Then the other umpire tried to WWE me. He came in and bumped me. And
that was crazy.
And I gave him an elbow in the chest, and he goes, "You can't do that." I said, "You can't grab me. What makes you think you got?" "Well, I'm protecting my umpire." And I said, "I'm protecting myself. You can't grab me.
Yeah.
I'll show you WWE." He looks at me, he goes, "I'm 22 years in the military, and give me your best shot." And I go, "You don't want that, pal."
You don't want Coach Coombs' best shot. We had a little WWE action on Tuesday night. Maybe some less drama, a more laid-back Coach Coombs tonight?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, there we go. He's back in the dugout, not quite with the view out there. He'll be back as the head man for Newport tonight, and we love to see that. It's the Gulls and the Westerners coming up later tonight here for some Friday Night Baseball. Coach Coombs, we always appreciate the time, as always. I'm very sweaty. I'm just warning you.
You're good. I love your time.
I appreciate that. We'll be back in a moment on the Gulls pregame show.
Thank you, Sam.
I won!
That's a good play.
Since 1974, the Rhode Island Lottery has paid over $57 billion in prizes and contributed over $8 billion to Rhode Island's general fund. Your Rhode Island Lottery, a good play for 50 years and counting.
All right, we just had a lively Coach Coombs, as always. We appreciate his time and everyone else that joined us here on the Gulls pregame show. That puts a wrap on our pregame show. But remember, it's the Gulls and the Westerners squaring off for some Friday night baseball at Cardines. You can't beat that. If you want to watch the action, you can do so over on ESPN Plus. First pitch slated for 6:35. I'm Sam Reese. Thanks so much for watching the Gulls pregame show here on the Newport Gulls Broadcast Network. It might be a little overcast here on this Friday night at Cardines Field, but we're ready for baseball nonetheless here in Newport as the Danbury Westerners come to town to take on the Newport Gulls. Welcome in to beautiful Newport, Rhode Island, alongside Riley Daniel and Danbury broadcaster Max Wallace. I'm Sam Reese. We're so pleased to have you join us on this Friday night here on ESPN Plus. And Max, I'll go to you first on the topic of Danbury. I know they're coming off one of the more wild games you'll see in baseball, never mind the NECBL.
Wild's one adjective you could use to describe it, partner. 17 plus ejections, 25 runs, 30 hits, and then when it was all said and done, Hayden Miller launched one about 330 feet to send us all home happy. Danbury playing for back-to-back wins, the only team this season to not get back-to-back wins yet, and they're playing for it for the first time in 30 games, dating back to last July. That's when you have to go to get their back-to-back wins.
And the Westerners beat the Gulls. We'll get more into that. That was over a week ago in Danbury. For Newport, Riley, they're coming off a tough, high-scoring loss on the 4th of July last night to Keene.
Yeah, that game with Keene really had everything. A good start from Cade Chatwell. Got through 5, only 2, so a quality start from him. The bullpen struggled a little bit, gave up what ended up being 10 runs in that game. The offense fought back. They got it to a tie game there in the 9th. But then just a real onslaught from the bats of Keene in that 9th. And it had some chaos here. We had Mike Coombs watching from behind the fence. We had a batter get hit during a firework explosion across the street. It was nothing more American than that, but in the end, the Gulls came up a little bit short, ending their 5-game home winning streak.
Well, it's a bounce-back opportunity tonight. It might not be the 4th of July anymore, but perhaps more fireworks on display tonight here at Cardines. We'll step aside for a quick moment, but we've got first pitch coming your way on ESPN Plus next. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be selling a 50-50 raffle ticket.
Another popular night at the ballpark. The fans filing in to Cardines Field, and we're ready for baseball. It's the Gulls and the Westerners, and we're getting right into it. A minute early first pitch here, 6:34 on this Friday night. And this officially marks the start of the second half of the regular season for the Gulls. Game number 23, and it's in there for strike 1 from Drew Blake, the lefty making his second start, going up against Ray Leonzi, the leadoff man for Danbury, a left-handed batter as well. Here's the 0-1. Similar location and the same result. A strike called by tonight's home plate umpire, Tony Letizia. Blake, the lefty out of Oklahoma State, working at a quick pace early, and it's fanned on by Ray Leonzi, a 3-pitch punch-out, and that's how you want to start your outing if you're Drew Blake.
Yeah, I mean, the complete opposite of how he started his outing the other night against Ocean State. That one, he let 3 batters on before he recorded an out. Tonight, 3 pitches, 1 out. This has been his only appearance as a starter so far this year. Looking to kind of rebound, really struggled in getting that 3rd strike in that appearance against Ocean State.
3rd overall appearance for Blake, and that's a first pitch strike to Carl Schmidt, batting second. Of course, Danbury's offense wasn't the issue last night, and also against Newport's bullpen a week and a half ago. They had plenty of success as this one smashed opposite field, and it stays fair to the left of the warehouse. Tracked down in the corner by Nico Brini. The throw looking good, but it escapes the glove of Randy Seymour, and that's a double for Carl Schmidt. And the bats getting going early for the Westerners. There's the first hit of the night as we take a look at their batting order tonight, Max.
You get a look at it, and it's a good one for the Westerners, playing on some limited players because of the action last night. But to take you through it, Carl Schmidt, the second batter, just doubled. Matt Buchero, Kobe Menser, Dante Diamore. Hayden Miller, the hero last night, hit the walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th to round things out. Lorenzo Rios behind the dish. Ryan Persano, the Demon Deacon, playing third base tonight. And Jacoby Davis, the center fielder, rounds out the lineup.
There you have it, Carl Schmidt, a more recent addition. And there's a toss over to first, and it gets past the glove of Austin Ford over to third. And thinking about coming home was Schmidt, but he trots back to third. And you're right, the Gulls claiming that Carl Schmidt never stepped on first, but it was a bit of a lazy throw from Blake, and in a weird way, Schmidt is 90 feet from home for the Westerners.
I'm still not sure why Austin Fort declined to step on first base. Now he's going to step off again, is Blake.
A very strange start to this game. Nothing as strange as what you were telling me it transpired in Danbury last night, but what a weird start to this one. Swing and a miss from Matt Buchero, the DH for strike one.
It's been a strange 24 hours for this Danbury Westerners team. I mean, a team who just got their bust. The AC was broken, got to spend some time in the parts of Rhode Island before getting to Newport for about hour and a half. But yeah, that throw over to first base, nobody on the bag at first. And you're right, partner. I don't know why they didn't just step on the bag at first. That was the whole initiative to do so. And, well, now we got a runner at third.
I actually, with a quick look up of the rules, can answer that. It's because it wasn't the most recent action, so they can no longer appeal the play.
1-1, cut on and missed down towards the dirt.
Nice stop there by the catcher, by Jake Burley. We'll go through the defense here for the Gulls. It'll be Dixon Williams, Randy Seymour, Luke Orban, and Matt Austinfort in the infield. Across the outfield, Nolan Stevens, Andrew Duncan back in center, Nico Brini in right. We mentioned Jake Burley, and on the mound, of course, is Drew Blake.
So 1-2 the count to Buchero. Contact made to the left side. Seymour is there. Corrals throws in time, and the runner Schmidt has to stay put. An important second out recorded by the Gulls against a red-hot Matt Buchero, who's batting .571 through his first 3 games.
A bold decision from Coombs to have the infield in, 2 batters into the game, but it pays off as Seymour able to look the runner back and fire across the diamond.
And for Buchero, one of the few balls that, number one, he doesn't get a hit out of, but number two, doesn't get a home run out of. 2 home runs last night to go along with a handful of hits, already up to 8 on the season. By the way, this is only his 4th game played. If he keeps that up, he'll be a shoo-in for the All-Star game later this month.
Not too shabby from Buchero, who had a total of 6 RBI in last night's dramatic extra innings victory over North Shore. 0-1 the count to the cleanup hitter Kobe Menser. And it's shanked over to the left side, a foul ball, and Blake is 1 strike away from getting out of this inning with no damage done. Menser, a left-handed batter who will play his grad year at George Washington after previously playing at Union College. The 0-2 pitch, hit to the left side. Tough play to make, backhanded by Williams. The throw going to be close. It's not in time. An infield RBI single for Kobe Menser, scores Carl Schmidt, and just like last night, the Gulls fall behind early.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what you can say about that. Great attempt from Dixon Williams, really good throw, great stretch from Austin Fort, but just a little too fast on the base pass, and kind of like last night, it's just a weird combination of events. A wall ball double, a missed appeal, and just like that, the Westerners have a 1-0 lead.
And Menser, not the fastest guy in the world, only 2 stolen bags this season, but a guy who's just got a nose for the base paths. Always a guy who's going to get on base, supply the additional runner on the bags. And right there, a hustle single. Normally you hear a hustle double, but that one, a very good one to get him on base and bring in the first run of the night.
Now Dante Diamore at the plate. Fired up high by Blake, and off to second goes Kobe Menser. And the inning continues. The runner in scoring position now for the Danbury Westerners with Diamore at the plate, and not the ideal way to get going for Drew Blake, who started well with that strikeout to Leonzi.
No, I think if you're Drew Blake, you kind of got to be a little bit frustrated because you're doing the right thing, but it's not like it's really anything particular. It's just a lack of precision. The lob that's just a little too high. That one's just a little too high for the glove of Jake Burley. Gulls very amped up in BP. Maybe it's carrying over a little bit to this first inning.
2-0 to Diamore. He held back on the swing. It's outside, ball 3 called to Diamore, who was one of the very few players that did not play in that game last night, so he's coming in off a little bit of rest. There's not a lot of them that didn't see the field for Danbury last night, and Max could be the first to tell you that much. And there's a 4-pitch walk. Blake misses just outside. Runners on first and second with Hayden Miller due up for Danbury.
And a confident Diamore who knew the zone very well. He was already out of the box almost before that ball hit Jake Burley's glove.
And that's just the confidence that Diamore possesses. Obviously had a great month of June, a little bit of a slow start, not only to the month of July, but in the last week or so. But he still has that confidence, still rocking the hot bat, and batting in a very important 5 spot tonight.
Hayden Miller was confident there. Unfortunately, he guessed very wrong on the pitch.
Miller plays at the College of Charleston. Did not appear in a game this past spring, but so far 10 games played for Danbury this summer. 290 batting average with 3 homers as well. 0-1 on the way from Blake. And it's off the leg of Burley down the third base line. He can't get to it quick enough. Having a beat on it was Kobe Menser, and he slides in safely, runners on the corners.
And I was just about to comment on how Menser was doing a really good job of getting a secondary lead on Blake. And that little extra half step is the difference between him being able to get to third base and Burley making that throw.
Now the 1-1 to Miller. Chop foul to the backstop, a 1-2 count. So the second time this inning where Blake is 1 pitch away from getting out of this.
And this is where he struggled in his lone start of the year. He got maybe 2 handfuls of 2-strike at-bats, but could not put runners away.
The 1-2, runner taken off, strike 3 called, it doesn't matter. A backwards K for Drew Blake to end the inning, but Danbury strikes early. 1-0 Westerners on top. We're back in a moment on ESPN+. We're back in Newport, and the Gulls bats will be seen for the first time tonight in a matter of moments when the leadoff man, Andrew Duncan, steps in. But right now, the final few warm-up pitches being thrown to the plate by Matthew Wooten, and it is the 5th start of the season for Wooten. What can you tell us about him, Max?
Well, number one, if you look on your screen, you see the 0-2 record. That just tells half of the story. His last outing, by far the best start by any Danbury Westerners pitcher. A game where he went 7 innings of work, gave up 1 hit. The hit came to his last batter. He struck out 4 batters, allowed just 1 run, but he got the loss for that one up in North Shore. Overall, a pretty solid guy out of Eastern Connecticut State University, starting his 5th game with a 4.76 ERA. Numbers to look out for are the 14 strikeouts to go along with just 5 walks. A guy who trusts his stuff out of the arm, but a guy who also trusts his defense in the field. Gives up 11 hits, but pitches to contact beautifully.
Andrew Duncan back for Newport. He got an off day for once, and tell us what the rest of that batting order looks like for the Gulls, Riley.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan going to lead off, then Nolan Stevens, Brody Seiko, 2 fixtures at 2 and 3. The middle of the lineup's been doing real well right now. Randy Seymour, Dixon Williams, Matt Austinfort all have a multi-hit game this week, and then it's Burley, Luke Orban, and Nico Brini back as that second leadoff hitter in the 9th slot.
And right before we get underway in the bottom of the first, there's a quick pause as manager Mike Coombs for Newport brings out the towel to the home plate umpire Tony Letizio because they need to clean up that home plate. I guess a little bit of extra dirt on there, so they quickly take care of business there, and eventually Wooten will throw his first pitch of the night. Take us through that defense, what it looks like for Danbury tonight, Max.
Backstop for Wooten tonight is Lorenzo Rios, right to left in the infield. Dante Diamore been a mainstay at first base. You mentioned it the other day. He got the day off. Hayden Miller goes back to second. Carl Schmidt at shortstop, playing and starting in his first game of the summer for the Danbury Westerners. At the hot corner, Ryan Prisano left to right in the outfield. Leonzi Davis and Kobe Menser.
0-1 to Duncan. He doesn't bite, but it's a strike called on the outside part of the zone. Last time these two teams met, Andrew Duncan hit a home run on the first pitch of the game. Didn't quite go swinging at either of the first two pitches tonight. He does go after the third. Sharpshooter to right, and Miller is there on the right side of the infield, I should say, for the toss to first. An easy first out for Danbury.
And that's what Wooten's going to supply, a fastball that just cuts inside on the two-seamer, and it got off the hands a little bit of Duncan. Easy play for Miller.
Duncan now having some words with Nolan Stevens, potentially telling Nolan exactly what you just said, Max, giving some advice to his teammate who's now going to step into the box.
Nolan Stevens continues to be red hot, and take us through those keys to the game in order for Newport to get a win tonight, Riley.
Yeah, they got to get a quality start from Drew Blake. The bullpen was taxed a lot last night, and then that middle third, which we mentioned in the starting lineup, Seymour, Austin Fort, Dixon Williams, they got to have 2 or 3 hits between them if the Gulls want to stay in this game because Danbury showed up. They're here to play.
They are. A confident Westerners team against the Gulls, I have to imagine, after the result in Danbury, the 0-1 in the dirt.
And it's impressive just looking at that first inning to get a run. I mean, they were on the bus an hour ago.
That's right. We haven't even gotten into full detail about that, but I know it was a lengthy journey. It took, total of 5 hours ultimately to get from Danbury to here?
Around 5 hours. Left the PAL up in Danbury, Connecticut at 12:30 this afternoon / late morning. And then about an hour and a half into the trip, AC brakes, pull into a parking lot, and we're there for upwards of an hour. Finally get to Cardines Field. And you mentioned, Riley, earlier that these Gulls were so energetic in batting practice. Well, Danbury, the last time they didn't take BP, that was at Keene, and they scored 12 runs in that game. Something about not taking BP just does something for Connor Farrell and his crew, and we'll see if it carries into tonight.
If they keep hitting like they did in the first inning, Connor Farrell might want to think about just skipping BP the rest of the year.
3-1 pitch, Wooten working rather quickly here against Nolan Stevens, although now he slows down a bit, waiting for the sign he wants from Lorenzo Rios behind the dish. 3-1 on the way from the righty, who kicks and deals, popped left side, and that's out of play onto America's Cup Ave. That bounces across the street and towards the aquarium.
Yeah, I mean, we say it every time on the air here, but there are so many risks to parking your car around here. Last night, 3 cars got hit in the game?
Is that right? I didn't even know that.
And it was like the entire town was still parked watching the fireworks. They weren't even driving.
We also had a car get hit. It wasn't in foul territory, though. It was because Matt Buchero hit a ball upwards of 380 feet, and it hit a car parked in the parking lot beyond the confines of Rogers Park. So really, the lesson to be learned here is if you're traveling and watching these NECBL teams, give yourself a good 10-mile radius around the stadium.
Be careful where you park. Full count pitch. Outside, ball 4. Stevens is walked. That's the 8th time he's drawn a walk this summer with 1 out here in the first.
And an impressive framing job there from Rios. That pitch wasn't very close, but yet he gave the ump something to think about before we call ball 4 there.
That brings up the designated hitter, Brody Zako. And he's been designated in that spot throughout the summer. The everyday DH really for the Gulls coming into the summer after his season at Austin Peay, dealing with a little bit of a shoulder issue. So he did play in the outfield for Austin Peay, but he's focusing solely on his hitting due to that little bit of a shoulder issue that he's been dealing with. And the first pitch taken by the feet for ball 1.
I mean, Sam, you ever heard the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Brody
I've
Seiko
heard
leads
that.
the league in home runs, has 18 RBIs in the year. There's no question who's hitting third in Mike Coombs' lineup.
No doubt about that. Zako has been one of the hottest hitters in the league, and he whiffs on an off-speed pitch, 75 from Wooten, and Zako did not see it coming.
That's the slider right there that Wooten delivers, and it's so good what he does. Fastball doesn't blow you away by any means, 86, 87 when it tops out, but the ability to locate it and then go backdoor with a slider like he does here is just so good for the righty.
So back-to-back sliders fool Zako, and ahead 1-2 in the count is Matthew Wooten here on this Friday night at Cardines Field. 1-2 offering. Down low, and no throw from Wooten, who thought maybe Stevens was going to take off, but he stays put at first.
I mean, this is just going to be a power-on-power afternoon. Wooten's a guy who's only allowed 2 hits in his last 12 innings of work, and really just 1 run in those last 12 innings. Got to blemish that 1 run because the hit he gave up against North Shore, again, last batter, the first batter in the 8th inning, got pulled and Danbury lost it.
Good contact here on the 2-2. It's to deep left field and off the fence. And that ball actually gets stuck, so it's a ground rule double. Stevens is coming home, but they're going to trot him back to third. That ball got stuck in the fence right near one of the signs.
I don't know about that, actually, because for all the crazy ground rules that Cardines has, I don't know if the ball getting stuck in the fence is one of them.
Well, you could see immediately the center fielder, Jacoby Davis, and Leonzi, the left fielder, they were immediately calling for time, and for that to be a ground rule double, you see the area as to where that baseball got stuck. Again, Cardines Field, one of the more unique ballparks anyone's going to play at and anyone's going to watch a baseball game at if you're a spectator, and somehow that ball got stuck in there, and that's why Stevens has to stay at third, and Zako limited to a double there.
Well, we were talking before the game. It kind of looks like the Giants Stadium out west in California, but I look down and right and I see some ivy. I was going to say it resembles Wrigley with all the posters out there, but I can't say that because there's actual ivy on the walls out and right.
There
so
is.
Many challenges and hurdles this park faces.
Randy Seymour attacks the first pitch, popped up behind home plate, and it won't be playable for the catcher Rios as that ball landed right above our heads on the roof of the concourse behind home plate.
Yeah, Randy Seymour, the exact person the Gulls won up in this situation. 3 hits, 2 RBIs last night. Now has 2 ducks on the pond, both in scoring position with only 1 out.
Really the most confident we've seen Seymour swing the bat this season over the last stretch of games. 0-1 on the way, and that's down the middle from Wooten. 0-2 with 1 out. Zako the runner at second. Stevens at third. The Gulls trying to return a jab here in the bottom of the first. 0-2 from the righty. Chopped foul down the third base line. Almost snagged by hitting coach Ted Regan.
Kind of surprised to see Wooten go back to the windup here with a runner on second. Obviously, it's not unusual to see it with just a runner on third, but with 2 on, kind of strange.
We'll see what Wooten has to offer on the 0-2 again. It's a chopper to short, corralled by Schmidt. The throw is low, but swooped nonetheless by Diamore. It does drive in a run for Newport. So the second out recorded, but Stevens comes home, and we're all tied up here in the first inning.
Buckle up. Seems like we're going to be in for an offensive track meet, and an RBI there, make it 3 in the last 2 games for Seymour, a guy who, in the middle of a good stretch, hits in 4 of his last 5, but an 0-for-6 number at Ocean State the second day in July is the blemish on his resume.
Well, both of these teams are not far removed from offensive type of games. 12-8 Newport fell to Keene last night on the 4th of July, and 13-12 Danbury took down North Shore in extra innings. Dixon Williams the batter for Newport, and he lays off for ball 1.
Yeah, the Gulls especially are prone to games that are high scoring. There have been less than 10 combined runs in only 4 of the Gulls' 22 games so far this year.
How about that? Williams smokes it to right. This is far. It is deep. Is it gone? No. It's a foul ball, rules first base umpire Charlie Tashjian. He said it went right of the foul pole. but because my goodness, Williams got all of that one, but couldn't keep it in fair territory.
Gulls right now are really seeing the slider out of the hand of Wooten well, and we'll see if it comes back to haunt him later in this one.
Up high to Williams for ball 2. Dixon Williams, one of the hottest bats since arriving to Newport, batting .385 in his 12 games played. He went 2 for 3 last night on the 4th of July against Keene.
And a guy who had a great year at ECU, 64 hits.
And a good hit here. It's out to left field and down. Zako comes in to score, and Newport has taken the lead. 2-1, Gulls in front, an RBI single for Dixon Williams.
And make it now 11 of his 13 games as a Gull with a hit for Dixon.
He's showing no signs of slowing down in the batter's box. And now we arrive to the number 6 hitter tonight in Matt Ossenfort for Newport. As mentioned, a bit of an overcast night here in Newport. You can feel some of the wind from the harbor more so than other nights.
Don't
Ball
scare
1.
me, Sam. You got me thinking about fog again.
I didn't bring up fog. You just brought up fog. You're the one who brought it up there.
Fair enough.
1-0 the count to the left-handed batter, Matt Ossenfort, who recently committed to NC State. Pulls it down the right field line, and it lands on top of the warehouse, a foul ball.
I mean, it feels like the Gulls lefties are taking target practice at the warehouse right now, the way they're seeing the slider.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Max, when Williams was at the plate. It seems like Newport's solving that slider of Wooten pretty quickly and early in this game.
And what Wooten's doing really well, though, is he's putting it on the back foot of the left-handed batter. So even if they are figuring it out a little bit, you're going to have to wait much longer than you would like.
1-1 sky high, but it will not stay fair. It veers foul over towards the area where the bullpens are. So continually good contact off the bat of a number of Newport hitters as we take a look at the crowd on hand at Cardines. Once again, a packed house here in Newport for a great night of baseball.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but I believe we've hit bingo because we've seen the foul territory in right field now play a factor, the foul in left field, and now the wall in center field also cause a dead ball.
Time for a home run now, I guess. 1-2. And similar location, it's sent foul off to the left side, and that one certainly lost on the road. It bounces across America's Cup Ave. The MC here at Cardines Field warning the fans as usual to not go running out of Cardines chasing that ball. That's a very busy intersection right there, I'll tell you that. 1-2 the count to Matt Ossenfort. And another foul ball hit off to the left side.
And this is something that we've really seen in terms of development from Ossenfort over the course of this summer. The beginning of the summer, he was a little too aggressive, a little too ahead on the front foot with pitches. Now he's staying back, letting his hands do the work, and just fighting to see another pitch, waiting for his pitch.
Still 1-2. Here it is, and the slider fouled away again. Matt Ossenfort keeps sending baseballs across America's Cup Ave and continues to stay alive. We should mention his mom is in attendance tonight here at Cardines Field. The Ossenfort family from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So she made the trip here, threw out one of the first pitches before the game.
This is a great inning so far by the Gulls, running Wooten of upwards of 20-ish pitches, and still only the 2 outs, 1-2 count, but Wooten a way to get out of it with one fail swoop.
So we'll do the 1-2 over again. Outside, ball 2, a close borderline pitch. Ossenfort was wise not to attack it.
Not only is it north of 20 pitches, this, the 2-2 to Ossenfort, will be pitch number 30 already.
That pitch count already increasing quite a bit, and we're still in the first inning. 2-2. Guess what? A foul ball to the left side, and that almost actually hit Ossenfort after ricocheting off the protective netting. He was a bit startled, but it didn't hit him. Rest assured. And what a battle here.
Normally you look at the 1 and 2 guys, especially in the first frame of a baseball game, to attack the pitcher and draw out the pitch counts. But Ossenfort batting 6th, playing first base, doing his part, doing his job. Who's going to win the battle?
2-2 from Wooten. Foul to the backstop.
And that is now the 6th foul ball fought off by Assenfort in this at-bat.
Impressive stuff here to just stay alive and continue to give himself a chance, Matt Assenfort. Dixon Williams getting his exercise in over there at first. He's been ready to go for a while now.
He might just go here.
2-2, popped high up in the air. Foul ground behind home plate, and that one lands in the crowd. No one could make the catch there. We hope that fan's all right. That ball trickled down towards the first row, and looks like someone's claimed it.
Matt Assenfort is going for the Cardines field record for foul balls in an at-bat. Don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I'll go ask the MC during the break.
Yeah, we have to find out that information.
2-2, number 5 of the at-bat now.
5 minutes later, and that is still Matt Assenfort in the batter's box for Newport. The 2-2 yet again. Upstairs, and in a fitting manner, it's run up to a full count.
And the crowd starting to rise to its feet here in support of Assenfort's valiant efforts in this at-bat.
Big 3-2 on the way from Wooten. Straightens his back, kicks, deals. It's down and away. Ball 4. The crowd loves it. Matt Assenfort in quite the battle ends up prevailing. He's on first. Over to second goes Williams, and the inning continues here in the first with a mound visit taking place early on, Max.
Second walk allowed by Wooten tonight. He's only allowed at most of 2 in his appearances. And that's a big-time battle and a confidence booster for this Gulls offense. It was really going to come down to, was Wooten going to blow a fastball by him or a slider by him? Because with the way that at-bat was brewing, I don't think Assenfort was going to swing and miss.
No, absolutely. And I think more than even letting Assenfort on, the biggest mistake from Wooten is the crowd is alive now. The crowd, which was kind of quieted by that good top half of the inning from the Westerners, has come to life here on their feet as Jake Burley steps into the box.
That was an 11-pitch plate appearance for Matt Assenfort, who ultimately earned his way to first. And as Riley mentioned, Jake Burley ready to go. Williams taken off to third. The throw close, but Williams slides in safely. Dixon Williams is a stealing machine, and he's got 9 on the summer now.
Yeah, Williams was at first base so long, he had time and a half to time up Wooten, knew when he was going home, and took off on first movement.
You said it a moment ago, Riley, that you thought he would just take off, but that's trusting your batter on the first pitch for your number 7-hole hitter. Why not try and take off?
And Wooten finds the strike zone. 1-1 to Jake Burley, who in 10 games played for the Gulls, just batting 160, trying to get that offensive rhythm going. Obviously a phenomenal catcher behind the dish. Williams dancing over at third. Wooten fires the 1-1. Popped up, over to the right side, and out of play.
It's been tough for Burley and honestly all the catchers here in Newport. Coach Mike Coombs blessed with a plethora of riches at the catcher position, and as such kind of having to rotate them, which means no one's really getting more than a day or 2 in a row. No one able to really get in that groove yet.
Right, it is a 4-catcher rotation for Newport. 1-2 to Burley. Popped high in the air, and another foul ball leaving Cardines. That bounces across the street, and it will trickle towards the garage door of the fire department and roll back across the road and under a car stopped at a red light.
And just to put in perspective how many foul balls there are, the crowd now knows the slogan for the foul balls. We are still in the bottom of the first.
They caught on quickly, and understandably so. 1-2 again. Strike 3 called. Right on the edge of the zone, Burley down looking, and the first inning finally comes to a conclusion. A 31-minute first inning. It's 2-1 Newport. We're back in a moment.
Gulls fans, finally, we are proud to honor culinary specialist Rick Glass, Justin Sheridan, a member of the United States Navy, for a special, not for July anymore, for our first inning salute. He is accompanied by Director of Game Day Operations, Eric Ridley. Justin has been in the Navy for 7 years and is currently stationed at Naval Station Newport. He's been sent on 3 deployments to the Mediterranean and the Middle East. He's also pictured here at Cardigan Field as a core part of our ground crew team, and has recently been assisting myself and Scott in the entertainment department with various promotional events during the season. Petty Officer Dirk Class Sheridan, thank you for your service and thank you for joining us tonight. we'd also like to invite any other athletes to be service members or veterans to please stand and be recognized. Girls Fair, give 'em a hand.
It is a great crowd on this Friday night at Cardines Field. You see even people tuning in from behind the left field fence where the playground is. You know, you have your kids play on the playground and you watch some baseball with a great vantage point. Gotta love that.
Yeah, Mike Coombs can even tell you how great of a vantage point it is. He watched from next door to the playground last night, having been ejected at Ocean State. And you got to feel like Drew Blake's got to feel so much more confidence. His last start, he was down 8-0. An inning plus into that outing. Tonight comes out for the second, where he really lost it in that last outing. Already has himself a lead for the first time all season.
A much more comfortable situation to be in for Drew Blake, who appeared in all 23 of his games sophomore year at Oklahoma State out of the bullpen. So the starter role a bit new for him as Lorenzo Rios lays down a bunt left side. Running onto it, Williams, barehanded effort, but the throw is offline. It forced Austin Ford off the bag. So a nice bunt by Lorenzo Rios there, Max. Perhaps kind of throwing off Drew Blake there to lead off the inning with a single.
Rios is the full package, playing in that catcher position, but not afraid to take off and try and swipe a bag with a bunt. Notice the third baseman playing a little bit too far back for his liking. And this is a bottom of the order that really did its damage against Newport last time. 6 hits to go along with 7 runs scored in that game. And it's a game where Danbury scored 7 of their 10 runs in innings 7 and 8. They didn't have to bat in the 9th inning as they were the home team. So if you go back to that one, they've scored all their runs or most of their runs in the last 3 innings of play, carrying back to last week in Danbury.
Down low, that's ball 1 to even it up on Ryan Prisano, the rising sophomore at Wake Forest. Didn't play in his freshman year, but getting plenty of opportunity this summer in Danbury. This is his 16th appearance of the summer. And before the 1-1, Blake throws over to first. No problem for Rios getting back to the bag.
Yeah, Blake really not known for his pickoff move necessarily. As a bullpen pitcher, not put in that position as often as starters necessarily are.
1-1 on the way. Skips in the dirt, blocked nicely by Burley, who whipped off the mask in a hurry to locate that baseball.
Good block there by Burley. I mean, Jake Burley already has had to make 3 or 4 blocks in an inning plus, and showing just how much faith Mike Coombs has in him to make those critical plays on this crazy bouncy surface that is the backstop here at Cardines.
Always unpredictable. 2-1 on the way. Sent high up in the air. Foul ground right side. Austin Fort giving it a chase, swirling around, and he can't quite get to that baseball. Brini was closing in as well as it drops in front of the Cardines scoreboard.
Yeah, and I mean, that one, you could tell Austin Fort had it for a second, and then the wind, which we've already kind of seen, just took it towards Nico Brini.
Yeah, you mentioned the swirling wind up there. Took the words right out of my mouth, Riley. The ocean breeze coming in, it kind of made the first baseman do a little dance out there in foul ground and had him turning all about, but new life now for Ryan Prisano.
2-2 to Prisano. Upstairs at 91 from Blake, and the count full.
And this is a pivotal moment for Blake. He really struggled getting that third strike in his last start. Can he overcome that demon here in a 3-2 count?
Payoff pitch from the lefty. He fires. He went. Ball gets free from Burley. He decides to throw to second. And in safely is Rios, as it was a little bit to the left of the bag where Orban had to snatch it.
You know what I mean? Good idea from Burley. Maybe you catch the runner not running all the way out. It was a little bit of confusion, as it seemed as if for a second there that Prisano wasn't sure if first base was technically occupied or not, and in the end he decided not to run.
It's also not often that you see a strike get called for a strike that pops out of the mitt of the catcher, but I guess they called it on the Ryan Prisano swing, went around too far, couldn't hold up.
I do think you're right, Max. That's what ultimately was the reason for that strike 3 call from home plate umpire Tony Letizio. Persano trying to hold up at the last second, but ultimately went, I do believe. 1-0 the count to the 9-hitter Jacoby Davis. And a strike called on the outside part of the zone. 1-1 with 1 out. The runner at second, Lorenzo Rios.
And Drew Blake, just so different from his last start, has so much more control over the outside of the zone. He was just mitching by inches the other day. Now he's putting it centimeters exactly where he wants it.
That last one almost struck Davis right near the knees. It got out of the way. 2-1 to the left-handed batter out of St. John's. Teammates, of course, with Newport second baseman Orban at St. John's. He goes chasing at that pitch. 2-2 the count.
3-game on-base streak brewing for Jacoby Davis, but a guy who would love to get the bat going. Have to go back to June 17th. That was against the Sanford Mainers, a game Danbury would lose 3-0. That was the last time he got a base knock.
Gets a good hold of this one. Out to deep right field, backing up. Brini shifting to his right. He makes the catch. Tagging up from second is Lorenzo Rios. The throw cut off in the infield. So the second out recorded, but Danbury does have the tying run in Lorenzo Rios 90 feet from home.
Second time now we've seen the hard dirt of the infield at third base kind of play a factor on the slide going in. It was one time Menser on a stolen bag, and this time Rios on the tag up. See if Danbury elects to go for the feet-first slide from now on or can figure out the very hard surface. Riley, you mentioned it. Behind home plate, it's very bouncy, and got to imagine it's bouncy out there in the infield as well.
Wait till you see a ball hit home plate.
Swing and a miss on the first pitch to Leonzi. That's strike 1.
Me and Sam have been guessing all year as to how many springs are loaded behind home plate based on how high that ball bounces whenever it hits it.
It is quite the trampoline there, I guess you could call it. Upstairs from Blake, 1-1 to Leonzi, who struck out swinging to begin this game in the first inning. It's only the top of the second, but the light's already in effect here at Cardines Field because it is a bit of an overcast evening. Ball gets away from Burley, who quickly tracks it down in front of him.
And Max, you're right. That is something that they need to start figuring out. That's now, I believe, if I counted correctly, 6 pitches that have hit the dirt before they found Burley's glove already through 1 2/3. So it's a problem, and the Gulls kind of need to figure it out quick.
But to give the catcher, rising senior going to Wake Forest, some credit, he's kept everything in front of him. Nothing has gotten past the backstop yet, and it's been a big reason. Sure, there's been a couple of stolen bases, but to your point, you said Kobe Menser did a great job learning the cadence of Blake. Nothing's really been out of the ordinary in terms of the action on the base path.
2-2 from Blake. Ripped to the right side, a leaping grab. Luke Orban, right place, right time. And the Westerners leave a runner stranded at third. We played 1.5, and it's the Gulls with a 2-1 lead. Welcome back to Newport. There you see the banners of all the division championships and, most importantly, league championships. Newport, the defending champs here in the NECBL. They took down Danbury in the semifinals on their way to a title last summer. Newport with a league-leading 7 NECBL titles, trying to go back-to-back, which is always a difficult task no matter what sport we're talking about. And a quick reminder that Launch Hydrate is the official sports drink of the NECBL on ESPN+. Launch Hydrate's unique formula helps athletes achieve peak performance at every critical moment, supporting improved focus, rapid hydration, and faster recovery. For orders and information, please visit launchhydrate.com. It's Luke Orban who leads off the second for Newport. And Wooten delivers a first pitch strike right above the knees to the St. John's product. Batting 8th tonight is Luke Orban. He did not play last night on the 4th of July, got the night off, swings and fouls that pitch off to the left side. Quickly 0-2.
Orban, one of 7 lefties in the lineup for the Gulls tonight, who are really loading up on the southpaws to counter Wooten.
Something we've seen, a strategy implemented by Mike Coombs before. 0-2, Orban gets all of it, and it bounces in front of the center fielder, Davis. A leadoff single for Luke Orban. That's got to feel good for him. His 11th hit of the summer, and he's on base.
And a good job by Davis, who stumbled for a second just to keep that ball in front of him, because a single, yeah, it's nice, but if you let that ball get behind you, there's a good chance Luke Orban is standing on third base.
You're exactly right, and I mean, Jacoby Davis, no stranger to making exceptional plays in the outfield, but wise decision on that one early in the game. No reason to risk a single for an extra base hit, especially when this is a Gulls team that has now compiled 3 hits in the game. Getting the leadoff guy on, you said it, for Orban must feel good. For this lineup must feel even better.
Now here's Nico Brini. They call him the second leadoff man. He loves that 9 spot in the lineup. Fouls off the first pitch, and Brini hit a rare home run against Danbury at Rogers Park last Tuesday.
It was his first home run as a Gull,
yes.
That home run. Brini also had himself a nice night last night, 2 hits and an RBI.
0-1 on the way to the Wofford transfer, and he lets it go outside at 74 for ball 1.
Currently sitting on an 8-game hitting streak. You mentioned the 2 hits last night. To go along with that, he's got 2 other multi-hit games in that hitting streak and 4 in the last 10.
1-1 down low. 2 balls and a strike to Nico Brini, who has slowly but surely been raising that batting average. It's now up to 324, which is near the top.
He's actually second on the Gulls in qualified batters.
Exactly right. 2-1 count. And swung out to left field. Foul ball. Another one lost out on the road, I do believe.
I feel like they might need to build a higher net just to keep some of these balls in the field.
Give him a hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of baseballs that we go through in any game at Cardines. 2-2 coming up to Nico Brini. Wooten in the stretch, fires off speed, and a foul ball right off the Newport dugout.
And the crowd just continuing to fill in here. We thought 4th of July was busy. This is easily the biggest crowd so far this year here at Cardines.
A packed house on a rare instance where the Gulls have home games on back-to-back days. 2-2. Taking off is Orban. No throw from behind the dish by Rios. It's a free bag. Orban's in a scoring position with no outs and a full count to Brini.
Great decision from Orban. Guessed correctly that there would be an off-speed pitch from Wooten. Decided to risk it and finds himself in scoring position now. Nico Brini once again with a chance to drive home a runner.
Also got to remember, no Nelfi Lopez, no Drew Wires, who didn't make the trip today, dealing with a little bit of a stomach bug kind of virus. That's Schmidt's first time playing shortstop for this Danbury Westerners team. Might have been a little bit off the page with his catcher.
Oh, and a close 3-2 pitch from Wooten, ruled outside by home plate umpire Tony Letizio. So Brini on first, Orban's at second. Still no outs recorded, and we flip the lineup card back to the top of the order.
And I can now tell you that Charlie West is up in the Danbury bullpen, so you wonder how long the leash is for Wooten already here in the second.
I mean, you look back at the first time through the lineup, it's a Gulls lineup that put on 3 hits, scored 2 runs, and did exactly what they needed to. 8 and 9 gets on to give the top of the order something to look at, and Andrew Duncan comes to the plate with a chance to plate another one.
A strike called. It was bobbled by Rios, who thought about throwing down the line to catch Brini sleeping, but no throw in the end due to that bobble. 0-1 to Andrew Duncan, who grounded out in the first inning.
And incredibly, that strike with no outs in the bottom of the second is pitch number 50 from Wooten.
The 0-1 now. Duncan sends it to center field, tracking it. Davis, he's got it. Orban tagging, the throw coming in, but it rolls to the left of third, and it had to be backed up there by Wooten. So a good tag there from second. Orban now 90 feet from home for Newport.
Well, I think Clark Schmidt was trying to deke out Orban by pretending like he was going to catch it. He deked me out, but I think if he actually catches that ball, he had a shot to get Orban at third base.
I don't think he had a shot, but Orban using that speed to his advantage already saw him stole a base earlier in this inning. It was a okay throw by Jacoby Davis, but one that Schmidt, deke or not, I think you glove that, take your losses, and you're aided here at Cardines. Not a whole lot of room in foul territory down the third baseline, but too early to get cute like that, in my opinion.
It's a fair point.
Nolan Stevens at the plate. He was walked and eventually came around to score the first run for Newport last inning. He has tied for the third most RBI in the league at 18 heading into the day. And takes a first pitch ball in at 84 miles an hour by Wooten, who's facing adversity here in the second just like he did in the first.
Another first and third for the Gulls, who love to send the runner in this situation. Look for if there's a 1 strike count, Brini to go.
Brini on his toes with about a 2-step lead over at first. Stevens laces the pitch out to right field, and a leaping grab made. An incredible catch by Kobe Menser. However, it's deep enough to send Orban home, who tags up from third. The Gulls take a 3-1 lead. It's RBI number 19 this summer for Nolan Stevens.
Incredible might be an understatement, Sam. Kobe Menser had no right to that baseball. He did not care, and he's the reason that Nico Brini is on first base and not on third base right now.
Here's Brody Zako. 6 home runs already this season. And for his standards, a little bit of a drought. He hasn't had one in about a week after hitting 4 in the span of a week. Ball 1 taken by the Belleville, Texas native.
Riley, you said it earlier, but Rios is doing a great job giving the home plate umpire in Tony Letizio things to look at. All of these pitches have a right to the strike zone, and it's been a tight zone tonight for Wooten, and give credit to the Gulls offense as well. They've been making him pay when he does leave something over the heart of the plate.
You say that, and he's done a great job. But that's the second time now I've seen him get so quick and so ready to frame it, he's forgotten to squeeze the ball all the way.
2-0 the count to Zako, who doubled last inning. And there is a strike. Much needed from Wooten to make it a 2-1 count.
If I'm Wooten, I stick to that. Zako couldn't hit the off-speed last at-bat. Keep working that pitch to him.
4th pitch on the way to Newport's DH. And it's belted out to right center field. Tracking back is Menser. He has to corral that off the ivy. Brini's rounding third. No throw to the infield. It's an RBI double from Brody Zako. His 19th run batted in this summer. He's on a tear. Newport takes a 4-1 lead.
2, 3, 4, and 5 have all driven in runs, and for Zako becomes extra base hit number 2 of the night and 11 on the season. You said his home run numbers were down for Brody Zako standards. Well, the double numbers are up for Brody Zako standards. That being double number 5, double number 4 came earlier, and it's all orange jerseys so far in this one.
Danbury took the lead early on in this game, but Newport has since responded with 4 unanswered thus far. And with 2 outs, Randy Seymour digs in for the Gulls. Seiko, the runner at second. Wooten glances over at the runner, now deals. It's a curveball, misses. Again, that tight strike zone coming into play. Not helping the cause of Wooten, who's allowed 4 runs in the first 1 and 2/3 innings of work. Couple of glances to second. Wooten kicks and fires, foul to the backstop by Randy Seymour.
Did you see that?
What?
Dixon Williams just one-handed that thing off the backstop.
Oh, pretty impressive stuff from Dixon Williams, the on-deck hitter. I was not looking that way when that occurred. Randy Seymour, what I was going to say was that he delivered an RBI on a sacrifice ground out to drive in that first Newport run. 1-2 now the count as Seymour takes his breath for a moment.
And the Gulls not happy with that call and making their displeasure known, telling the home plate umpire that that one was down. It looks pretty good from up here.
Wooten winds and deals. Bouncer to third. Caught by Presano, and no problem. Throw across the diamond in time for out number 3. But the Gulls, after putting 2 up in the first, do the same in the second. It's 4-1 Newport. We're back in a moment.
Get set for the donut eating contest. A little score update for those of you invested in the Sox Yankees game. It is still tied at 0 at top of the second. But for now, it's time for the Montana donut eating contest. I have Adeline and Piper with me. They have 30 seconds to eat as much of this donut as they can. The winner goes home with a Moz Donuts gift card. So countdown to Eagles fans. 3, 2, 1, go. Now, Adeline's a frequent flyer here, so she's studied this, she's seen this, she knows the strategy. Piper's just a little wild card, but she's off to a good start. Slow and steady is always a good strategy. Let's hear it for our contestants. Count down with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Ooh, let's see how we're doing here. Oh, yeah, I think Adeline's got it. Unless Drew wants to finish the rest of it.
It might not be 7:30 yet, but the lights are certainly helping out here at Cardines Field on an overcast and cloudy Friday night. Comfortable temperature-wise, I must say, as we get ready for the start of the 3rd inning here on ESPN+. And a quick reminder that Netting Professionals is the official netting partner of the New England League. Their netting and wall padding products have been featured in Major League Baseball venues such as Citi Field and Truist Park, and many collegiate facilities throughout the country, including the universities of Florida, North Carolina, Binghamton, Texas, and many more. From design to fabrication to installation, Netting Pros is improving programs one facility at a time. Carl Schmidt, the first batter of the 3rd inning, batting in the 2 spot tonight, and takes ball 1, which skips in the dirt from Drew Blake. Schmidt made his debut, actually, last night in that crazy game. I guess a welcome to the NECBL moment for Schmidt.
It was so funny today on the bus in the early afternoon. Everybody was saying, happy first game. What a way to make your debut. He said it was one of the craziest things he has ever seen and been a part of. And I don't blame him. It was one, and me and Toby Zabore, the voice of the North Shore Navigators, we said it on air. One of the craziest games we had ever been a part of.
It certainly seemed that way. Schmidt, a rising sophomore, spent his freshman year at Texas A&M, did not see the field, so he will be transferring to Cal Berkeley. Off the end of the bat, it's fouled towards the dugout. It's a 2-1 count. Cal Berkeley a little bit more close to home as well for Schmidt, who's a native of Petaluma, California.
Also for Schmidt, you get that experience with Texas A&M, a team that went to Oklahoma, got as far as 1 game away from winning the College World Series. You see what they have to offer. You learn a lot from head coach Jim Schlossnagle down that way in Texas. And he's a guy in batting practice. Didn't get to see him today, obviously. He hits rockets.
And the full count pitch. Down low from Blake. No need to hit a rocket there for Schmidt to get on base. The leadoff man is on first with a walk. And watch out, because Matt Buchero is up next for the Westerners.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, a pitcher from Oklahoma State, probably knows very well what Clark Schmidt is capable of. as Buchero steps in here.
Buchero started 58 games for Fairfield this past spring as a sophomore, and that's a laser which clings the Cardines Field scoreboard.
Just gets off the bat in such a hurry, 94 on that last one, and guy who hits fastballs really well. That time might not have been expecting one from Blake, but he's a guy, Blake, we've seen him use that fastball time and time again. I can tell you right now, if you're going to go for the you can hit it, you can have it, well, it's going to be in the parking lot or in the beyond of the Cardines Field confines.
So are you saying that they should go back to putting helmets on the children in left field?
That'd be a good idea. It'd be a start.
Maybe
some pads on the windows, too.
That might help. A good start here for Drew Blake against the red-hot bat of Buchero. 0-2, line foul,
Holy.
and that clings the roof that covers a part of the stands down the first base line. I hope everyone's all right down there.
Another rocket shot off the bat.
Oh. Absolute rocket, to say the least. And Buchero lays off. It's just outside from Blake for the first ball. Matt Buchero, 4 for 6 last night, 6 RBI, a couple of home runs against North Shore. This is his 4th game with the Westerners after playing a little bit for the Falmouth Commodores on the Cape. And this is good contact to right, but Breeny barely has to move and makes the squeeze for out number 1.
And you get the feeling that Drew Blake feels more than content with that out. I mean, the way Buchero was hitting that ball, I think Drew Blake probably would have been content with anything that stayed inside of Cardines.
Kobe Menser up at bat for Danbury. Entered today batting .360 this summer. Big hack and miss. A throw down the line from Burley. Back in time with Schmidt. That was a home run swing, to say the least, from Menser.
And Menser's been seeing the ball well. .360 average coming into today, like you said, with those 9 hits. But a guy who's just been on a tear in the last week or so. Rides a 3-game hitting streak, able to extend it to 4 after the single in the first inning, and also drove in a run, which became his 4th on the year.
Menser ready for the 1-1 from Blake, who stares down to first, kicks and deals up high at 90 for ball 2.
And now we're seeing Danbury start to do what the Gulls did in the first, and that's start working counts. Drew Blake now up to 50 pitches. So the Westerners may be able to get into the Gulls bullpen, which is severely weakened from last night.
Foul to the right side, and another rocket off the bat. 2-2 the count to Kobe Menser.
Sitting fastball that time, and a good job by Blake to pull the string off at 83 miles an hour on the slider. And Menser way out in front of it, but able to get enough to stay alive.
If I'm Blake, I might take a look at Schmidt here.
2-2. Fouled over to the Danbury dugout. So the count stays put to Kobe Menser.
Gotta love that Union helmet representing his D3 school from Schenectady.
2-2 pitch. Fastball down and away, the count full.
Jake Burley has single-handedly saved Drew Blake about 5 wild pitches already tonight.
The third-year goal, Jake Burley has plenty of experience behind the dish. Spent his grad year at Wake Forest. Full count pitch. Slow chopper down the third base line. Williams there, and the throw in time. Over to third goes Schmidt, and the tag is not there. So safe is Carl Schmidt on a hectic play. And in the end, the risk pays off for Schmidt, who's 90 feet from home for the Westerners.
Really great read that time by Schmidt. You said it, slow chopper off the bat of Menser that ate up the third baseman, and Schmidt never hesitated around the bag at second, noticed the bag was empty, and a guy, like we mentioned, got a lot of experience this past season. Didn't get a lot of playing time, but still a guy who has a lot of tools in the toolbox, puts it to work there, 90 feet away from cutting this deficit.
And that's just great baseball IQ from Schmidt. That's a weird play where there's no one who's really responsible for third base because Williams is charging the ball. The 2 middle infielders are both on second.
Dante Diamore swings at the first pitch, high in the air right side, and that's well out of play, foul.
And because of that, there's really no one there. I mean, the closest player when Schmidt made the turn probably was Nolan Stevens in left field, and I don't think he was planning on covering third base.
0-1 the count to Dante Diamore, who walked in the first inning, holds up the swing there and takes ball one.
And I really like what Drew Blake is doing right now. He's starting this pitch in the lefty batter's box with a little bit of glove side run, trying to catch the outside corner.
1-1 from the lefty Blake, and another ball just outside. So good patience here from Diamore in that right-handed batter's box.
And that's what Diamore is trying to find on a very tough stretch of games. He's 0 for his last 9, including an 0 for 4 night at the Vineyard 2 days ago. Trying to get on base any way he can is what he's working on.
Blake misses just down low. A lot of close calls for home plate umpire Tony Letizio to make the counts 3-1.
And that was a great framing job by Burley, because that ball bounced, and he somehow managed to convince several people that that was middle.
3-1. Outside, it's a 5-pitch walk to put runners on the corners for Danbury. The inning not done quite yet.
And this is what Blake struggled with in his last start, the ability to just get that little half an inch closer to get it in a spot where Burley can frame it for strike 3.
Hayden Miller now the batter for Danbury. Struck out looking as the 6th hitter back in the first inning. Ball 1 taken. Drew Blake constantly flirting around the 90-mile-an-hour mark with that fastball. Has the ability to get to 91 and 92 sometimes. And pitching coach Kevin Long is trotting his way out to the mound for Newport as a mound visit takes place for the Gulls here.
Yeah, and I mean, for the Gulls, I think can't be anything but pleased with Drew Blake right now. And I think this is probably more than anything to discuss without the possibility of signs being stolen, what they want to do with this first and third situation. You got a catcher in Burley who has a good arm, but at the same time, we've seen when the Gulls have tried to be too aggressive defensively, thinking back to that pickoff attempt or the appeal attempt in the first inning, how it's backfired at times.
Got to think this is all just confidence. Give your pitcher something to look at, ease him down a little bit. Say you're one batter away from keeping a 3-run lead going into the bottom half of the third inning. Don't do anything that you haven't done so far, because it's been working for you. Other than just the 3 walks and the 2-3 hits allowed by Blake, it's been a very solid afternoon so far.
1-0 the count to Hayden Miller. Out of the mound visit, Blake delivers a second pitch ball, I should say. Again, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball out of the hands of the lefty.
Miller, a guy who had his June cut a little bit in half after an injury early in the month. Only 8 games played, but a guy who was able to rack up a .296 average to go along with 4 extra base hits. Also drove in 5 runs.
And now 5 of his 9 hits as a whole this season have been for extra bases. 2 doubles, 3 homers. Looped foul, that's strike 2. The count all even with 2 outs.
And that homer, the 3rd one of his season, the big one last night to get the walk-off win. First walk-off win for Danbury of the season, and a big one at that.
2-2 off the end of the bat. It's a foul ball. Miller stays alive. Lorenzo Rios is on deck for Danbury as the Westerners try to extend the inning. A few deep breaths from Blake, who kicks and deals. It skips in the dirt, and coming home is the runner. Diving play. Burley got him.
Oh, man, what a
Carl
play.
Schmidt ran home from third. Jake Burley lays out and gets the tag in there to end the inning. An athletic play by the catcher out of Wake Forest. It stays a 4-1 game as we head on to the bottom of the 3rd inning. We'll be back here in a moment.
In the Eisenberg School of Management, we really value experiential learning. By the end of their time here, the students have a portfolio that they can go out with and say, here's what I've done. Here's the clients that I've already worked for.
Our alumni are in constant engagement with our program, providing career guidance, insights. So all of our students are able to take advantage of an unparalleled alumni network before and after they graduate.
Your involvement with the school doesn't end when you graduate. We have a lot of UMass Amherst alums at Gillette Stadium. We know the type of employee we're going to get when we hire someone who's graduated from this program.
We are back here for the bottom of the third inning. 4-1 Newport leads, and it's a short start for Matthew Wooten on the mound because that's not Wooten who you see there on your screen. That's Tyler Muscar, who is making his 6th appearance of the summer, and good numbers overall so far, Max.
Certainly is. 2.76 ERA for Muscar, the man out of JMU. 13 innings pitched to go with 12 strikeouts, just 3 walks allowed, but 10 hits. Another guy who's going to trust his stuff out of that left arm, but also pitch to contact, get his fielders involved. Looking down a little bit further, an opponent batting average of just .227, and in his last appearance, got to go back to the other side of the calendar, in North Adams, a game Danbury would lose 8-3. He did go 3 innings pitched. He only gave up the 1 run, and 3 strikeouts allowed, or recorded, I should say, with 11 batters coming his way.
I want to go back to that top half of the inning and that crazy play that ended it. Carl Schmidt, obviously only his 2nd game here in the NECBL. He learned a lot of things last night in what you described as one of the craziest games you've ever seen, Max. Tonight he learned another valuable lesson, and that is unless you have Andrew Duncan's speed, you cannot try and score on a wild pitch at Cardines.
Cardines, from what I've seen just being here for, call it the last hour and a half or so, smallest backstop in the NECBL. Everywhere you go, whether it's Muzzy, whether it's back up home in Rogers Park, whether it's in the Vineyard, every backstop is where wild pitches go to unearned runs and an error that turns into a 1 on the scoreboard. Good job, though, by the catcher who fielded it very cleanly and then didn't make the decision to flip it, took matters into his own hands, got back to the home plate, and tagged out Schmidt at that plate.
Dixon Williams leads off the 3rd for Newport, facing the new pitcher in Tyler Muscar. Muscar, the lefty, has his first pitch fouled off on a little bit of a non-committal swing from Williams, who immediately asks for the pine tar to sharpen up that bat. He immediately had the really look of something's off here.
Well, that pitch actually that he swung at hit him in the top hand there. Did not get a good read on it whatsoever. And just, honestly, I think he grabbed the pine tar just to give himself a second to reset mentally after that nasty first pitch.
He's now ready for the 0-1 from Muscar, and it's laced foul to the left side.
Dixon Williams, probably the goal with the quickest hands in the lineup, so doesn't really need a long step, doesn't need to read it great, just needs to be able to get his hands to the ball and let the velocity from Muscar do the work.
He's going to need those hands. Muscar's a guy who loves that fastball.
Yeah, this is a fair ball down the first base line. Muscar's there, the toss in time. A close call at first. Williams was sprinting down the line, couldn't get there in time. 1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, great hustle from Dixon Williams as we take a look here at that replay down the first base line. Bang, bang play. But, I mean, Dixon Williams, that is a routine ground ball for almost anyone else. But Williams does not care. He turned what should have been a simple flip into a bang-bang play.
We'll see what Matt Austinfort can do second time up after walking in the first. Check swing, he held up at the last second. That ball sailed all the way to the backstop.
Well, I'll tell you something. The Gulls are going to have to figure out how to read Muscar because that's 2 batters in a row who have come up, swung first pitch, and almost gotten themselves hit.
And in the end, Danbury actually wanted an appeal there, but the third base umpire, J.C. Fernandez, confirmed that Austinfort did not go. 1-0 from Muscar. Just inside, ball 2. The close call at 80 miles an hour. That's a little more inside this time on Austin Fort. The velocity up, 3 balls, no strikes.
Austin Fort still yet to have put a ball in play and doesn't look like it's coming right now.
He had the 11-pitch battle with Wooten, a new pitcher he's facing this time, and lets it go for a strike.
Thing about Muscar is he's a bigger guy, 6'5", 220 pounds, as opposed to Wooten, who's much smaller on the mound. Two completely different ways they generate their power. Muscar much more over the top, uses those legs, but really gets on the downhill.
Austin Fort was hoping for ball 4 there, but it catches the inside part of the plate. The count is full. Muscar has worked his way back here against Austin Fort. Payoff pitch. Swung on, hit sharply towards the second baseman. Awkward bounce for Miller, and the throw gets a stray. It escaped the glove of Diamore, and Austin Fort is on base for Newport. Maybe not the way he wrote it up, but he'll take it.
Yeah, there was rain earlier in the day here in Newport, and you could see just how much that might have affected Miller, who slipped as he went to throw the ball. And here at Cardines, that's all it takes for a throw to go awry.
It goes down as an error on Miller. And Jake Burley digs in with 1 out, and now a runner on first rather than bases empty and 2 outs.
We saw Wooten get into some trouble with the free pass to Stevens. That came back in the first. He would come around to score. Let's see how Muscar can fare with the runner on and 1 out in this inning.
1-0 to Jake Burley, a native of Hollister, California, northern part of the state. 1-0 on the way. Popped high in the air. That will be sent foul, and it hits the roof of the section of the crowd furthest down the first baseline.
And you can tell just how serious these foul balls are getting. The MC had to shout, heads up on that one.
Got to take cover no matter where you are. 1-1, high and away. We've seen a couple of foul balls this season as well somehow go through the netting. I think that's happened twice.
Sam, how many times do I have to tell you not to talk about that?
Well, I just brought it up. I'm still amused at how that happens. There's some holes in the netting.
There are some holes in the netting.
2-1, big swing and miss from Burley. And Muscar just needs 1 more strike to retire Burley for the 2nd out.
But there could be no holes in the netting. The balls would still find a way through somehow.
Exactly.
Hey, if they're hit that hard, they'll find a way.
Oh, yeah. 2-2 pitch. Fouled straight back by Burley.
That almost hit our camera behind there. As once again, the Gulls just refusing to give an inch in these at-bats.
Feels like once a week our camera behind home plate has a couple of close calls anyways. 2-2 again. Up high. And how about another full count? We had one against Austin Fort moments ago, and Burley in a battle here against Muscar.
Newport showing extreme patience at the plate. Even on these 2-strike pitches, they are very tight with where they want their zone to be and not picky, and it's worked so far.
Full count pitch. Burley swings, and it's a foul ball snagged by the left hand of Nico Brini off the netting. Heads up play by Nico Brini.
Well, Nico Brini saw what Dixon Williams did an inning ago and said, you can do that. I see you, I raise you.
Another payoff pitch coming up from Muscar. He kicks and fires. Line down the third base side. It's a fair ball rolling into the bullpens. Rounding second and heading into third is Austin Fort, and Austin Fort will be stopped at third, I do believe. The ball finally retrieved out of the bullpen, but that's a dead ball since it landed in that bullpen area. Jake Burley with just his 5th hit of the summer, but it's a big one for a double.
Yeah, great job by Burley staying back and just letting that inside turn do the work. Austin Fort is being sent back to third base. Not particularly pleased about it. As Austin Fort did a really, really great job base running. He was already to the plate before the left fielder got back into what is considered live ball territory here at Cardines.
And for Muscar, just an unfortunate break. Really good-looking slider, bottom half of the zone, but a better protection swing by Burley. Gets enough bat on it. Only 75 off the lumber, but puts it in a place where nobody had any chance to get it. Rolled down the way to the bullpen, and here we are with 2 runners in scoring position.
And this is now the 3rd consecutive inning. The Gulls have had 2 in scoring position with less than 2 outs.
Luke Orban, the batter, he wastes no time swinging at the first pitch, fouled to the left side. Another lost baseball added to the list, and we're only in inning number 3. Orban, of course, made a big impact to lead off the last inning where he singled, stole a base, eventually got all the way around to score.
Infield in here for the Westerners, who can sense this one starting to slip.
0-1 from Muscar, and another foul ball from Orban. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Already an hour and 15 into the ball game. 0-2 the count to the left-handed batter, Luke Orban. Burley at second, Austin Fort occupying third for the Gulls. Muscar winds and delivers. A strike called inside corner, and Orban has rung up a rare backwards K in this ball game for out number 2.
Yeah, Max, you were mentioning earlier the difference between Muscar and the original pitcher. One other thing I was thinking about, this is a 6 lefty lineup for the Gulls. They're designed to hit the starter. They're not designed for Muscar, whose pitches run away from them like that one did, backing up on Orban for strike 3.
Just to raise your point, a beautiful slider on the inner half of the zone. Just froze him. It looked like he was hitting fastball.
Brini showed bunt. He says it hit him.
Oh, boy, this is going to cause some chaos.
And the home plate umpire, Tony Letizio, I believe originally was saying that Brini was hit. The catcher for Danbury, Lorenzo Rios, can't believe it.
The problem, I think, with that is I don't think Brini ever pulled it back.
And that's the thing. You see him showing bunt there.
Yeah, he did not pull that thing back. It should, if it hit him, but he didn't pull it back, it would be ruled a ball. But this is going to make one bench or another mad, regardless of how they rule this.
So all 3 umpires gathering right now, Max, and you could tell Rios right away was furious about the decision, but it looks like
they'll send him back.
Yeah, they're going to send him back.
I was right there with
and out
Lorenzo
comes Mike
Rios.
Coombs.
I mean, you said it, Riley. He didn't pull back, and Rios knew it. He was Johnny on the spot, and good job by this officiating crew to get it right in a very short amount of time, and they'll just talk to the head coach of the Gulls.
Mike Coombs back tonight after serving a 1-game suspension, being ejected at Ocean State Tuesday.
He did tell me pregame that he promised me he'd be more calm tonight after that ejection a couple of games ago. So you can see it's a more composed Mike Coombs here having a civil conversation with the home plate umpire, Tony Letizio. And it's honestly Nico Brini who seems more frustrated as well. He was arguing his case to the umpire. He's still talking it over as we await for Brini to finally retrieve his bat, which is right now in the hands of the on-deck hitter, Andrew Duncan.
I'm not quite sure why Duncan's still out there having a conversation. Duncan's job right now needs to be to get Nico Brini back in the batter's box and then go back to the on-deck circle.
Not many times you'd question Nico Brini with how good a season he's having, a guy who has a knack for getting on base with that 378 on-base percentage. Normally when he knows it hits him and he got it back, he's going to be right 99 times out of 100. Well, this is that one, and he'll go back to the batter's box.
Well, it did hit him. He just didn't stop swinging, as now he's having a conversation about something with Mike Coombs. Everyone's talking here. Ty Stark going to go for a walk out to the bullpen right now. I'm not quite sure what the problem is. It seems to be some sort of equipment issue.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brini unstrapping his gloves, I believe, and putting them back on. What has it been, 3-4 minutes since the last pitch?
I don't know. He stopped to have a conversation about the weather with Randy Seymour while he's putting on a new set of batting gloves.
Either it's the putting on the gloves or he's using the good old untie my shoe to tie it again to get a little bit more time out of the batter's box and to talk that strategy. Now finally wrapping the blue batting glove around his wrist for a final time, and it looks like he's ready to go back to back.
My favorite part of this is that Ty Stark has now gone over to third base to have a full-on conversation with Ted Regan and Matt Austinfort before he goes on to jog to the bullpen.
Ty Stark picking up his pace there. He said, oh, well, they're going to resume play. I got to hustle over to the bullpen. So a bit of a weird stoppage there. I think that was a solid 4 to 5 minutes since we saw that last pitch, but the plate appearance continues. That was the first pitch thrown Breeny's way. 0-1 from Muscar. Breeny got jammed, a foul ball. Nothing in 2 with 2 outs. Both runners in scoring position. We should remind the audience here in Newport, bottom of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, Nico Breeny again swinging at a pitch that if he didn't swing at, might have hit him.
Muscar patiently waiting for the sign he wants from Rios. Gets it. The lefty kicks and deals. Up the middle, it is bobbled by the pitcher Muscar, but the throw is just there in the nick of time. A little bit of a scary moment there for Danbury, but Newport leaves a couple runners stranded and can't strike. It's 4-1 goals. It'll be Max Wallace taking over on the play-by-play after the break.
So as soon as I find stuff, up because that is in my car somewhere. After you, John. Go for it, guys. Yeah. Newport dancers. All right, where is our big winner? Junior Mr. Nose. Here we go. Congratulations. You got home with a 99 gift card. Thanks for playing, guys.
Aided by a fine play by his catcher, Drew Blake's day has come to an end after 3 innings pitched of 3-hit baseball, and he passes the baton to the first man out of the mound for Newport in Mike Kavala.
Michael Kavala, a really intriguing story. He was the #1 rated European prospect, originally from Ostrava, Czech Republic. He played in the World Baseball Classic for his native Czechia a year ago and played his freshman year at Georgia Tech. Actually announced the other week that he is transferring to Chipola College, a well-known JUCO program down in Florida. So a chance to really dominate at that level where I think he's shown promise. Now this summer it's been a little bit up and down for him so far. Mainly a bullpen guy, 5 total appearances, 1 of them being a start. 8 in the 3rd innings. The command has been his main issue. 10 walks compared to 9 strikeouts. We'll see how he fares tonight against Danbury.
Also, number that jumps off the page is the 14 hits. A guy who pitched against Danbury in the 10-3 loss. Just went .1 innings pitched, gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, struck out 1 batter in the 4 that he faced. But the thing that stands out is that .871 slugging against. And he'll have the 6, 7, 8 hole hitters, Hayden Miller, Lorenzo Rios, and Ryan Persano due up for the team wearing black. Danbury down 4-1 in this one. They have a couple of hits to their name. All 3 came against Blake to start this off, but really trying to get a base runner and get some action on the base paths. The rock, the wind, and deal. Big swing by Miller, swinging for the fences and home run number 4, but it gets blown by him for strike 1. 89 out of the right arm of Kavala. And the guy who steps back to step in, Miller makes contact this time into center field. Should be the play for Duncan, and it is in front of the orange jersey of the Gull for out number 1.
And for Kavala, who in a few of his appearances this summer has been put into tough situations in the middle of an inning with base runners on, and that's led to struggles for him. It's nice for him that he gets the clean slate here, coming in at the beginning of an inning and most importantly, retiring that first batter to give him a boost of confidence.
3 schools in 3 years for the man in the batter's box. Just transferred to Rice University after he was at Northwestern this past season. Started his collegiate career with Presbyterian as Lorenzo Rios squares one up into right and becomes the first base hit since the second inning. It was actually his single that was the last time Danbury made good contact that found the outfield grass. And for the second time tonight, he's aboard.
I don't know how much you can call that first one at outfield grass. It was a bunt single. Honestly, probably the best bunt I've ever seen from a catcher. But nonetheless, 2 hits in 2 at-bats for Rios.
Told you he's a catcher who can do both ways, has the speed, but also is really, really good behind the backstop. Passes it back to Ryan Persano, struck out in his last at-bat and quickly falls behind 0-1, 88 that paints the black. Good month of June for Persano, a .227 average in 13 games. Picked up 10 hits, 2 of them were for extra bases.
Kavala already starting off with a clear plan of action. He's going to try and work the outside of the zone, much the way that Drew Blake did for the first 3 innings.
One. Outside, good stop by Burley behind the dish. He's been active, and he's been excellent at it.
Yeah, Sam, I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about how good Jake Burley's been all year, but tonight seemingly his best performance behind the backstop so far.
He's had a lot of movement to do, in a variety of circumstances, and that's why Newport loves having him here for his prowess behind the dish.
Big swing and a miss by the third baseman. Count evens at 2-2. A guy who came into tonight, 13 hits to his name with a .245 average at a Wake Forest University. Didn't get playing time this past year, but at a Fairfield Prep out of high school was ranked the #1 shortstop in Connecticut. Pokes this one to the right side. That'll get through for a base knock. Rios racing around second. Now puts the brakes on, heading back. And runners at first and second to start off the 4th inning. And I'll echo you, partner. Wise choice. That ball got to the hot corner in a hurry out of the arm of Brini.
Yeah, Nico Brini, a great arm. He's already thrown out a runner at the plate this week. And, I mean, you don't run on Nico Brini if it's a close one because he'll do something like that. You could see, even from where we are, 100-plus feet away, Nico Brini's eyes light up as he saw an opportunity, and Rios decided better than to test his arm.
Rios, a guy who's got a lot of confidence in that speed, but better decision-making on the base pass this time for the catcher. Passes it back to Davis after back-to-back base knocks in similar spots. Runner on second, Rios on first, Persano. Davis watches pitch 1 go by, snap throw down to the bag at first, not in time to get Ryan Persano on the headlong dive.
Yeah, good job by Austin Ford to go up and get it, but it did not look like he was expecting that throw from Jake Burley.
Davis looking to turn his season around. 0 for his last 9 in the last 3 games he's played, and 0 for 7 in the month of July. Another one that misses outside, another great stop by Burley. He'll take a minute to go talk to his pitcher, and Kavala, who's been a little bit sporadic. You mentioned it. That's where he has struggled. It's been the location.
Yeah, a wise decision for Burley to just go out, have a word with his pitcher because, to your point, Max, last couple of batters faced, Kavala just not finding that zone with consistency, making Burley dance around a little bit. And you mentioned it, Burley's done a good job blocking those balls, but you want, if you're Kavala, to find the strike zone with more consistency here to just settle in, especially with 2 runners on base.
And you don't want to just keep relying on the backstop to make those great plays. You'd rather your pitcher settle in, pitch to contact, because when Newport's had the ball in play, they have been very good about it. Only the 1 error tonight, and that came back in the first inning.
Ironically, when they were trying to get an out on a base running error by the Westerners.
3-0 pitch inside. Davis takes all the way, and the bottom 3 of the order fill up the bases here in the 4th inning. Rios goes to third, Persano to second. Davis draws the walk, extends that on-base streak to 4 games. And Ray Leonzi able to try and bring in runs number 2 and 3, if not 4 and 5 tonight.
And this is big for the Westerners. They've already left 4 runners on base tonight, and if they want to get back in this game, they can't afford to leave more than 1. They got to get at least a run in, probably 2, if they want to feel good about their chances in this game.
172 left on base coming into today's game, and the couple that they've left on base already certainly doesn't help that number. Bases juice, though, for the man out of East Connecticut State. 6 straight balls, though, by Kavala. Got to think 26 is keeping the hardwood on the shoulder.
It's probably a fair assessment. Speaking of things that Kavala is triggering, I can't see who it is, but there is new movement in the Gulls bullpen.
Great night for Leonzi the other night, 2 for 2 and 2 walks. And finally able to find the strike zone is Kavala. Leonzi also drove in 2 runs the other night against the Navigators. It was a wild one. Danbury went on to win that game 13-12 in extras, but 11 unanswered runs by North Shores. How we got there. Leonzi launches. This one to right. Back goes the right fielder. It's off the wall and gone. Ray Leonzi leaves the yard. The grand slam. First of the year. Touch 'em all, Ray.
Well, we had talked about them leaving base runners on base. Leonzi says, I don't care about that. First strike he sees from Kavala, sends it out past the 321 marker, and just like that, the Westerners go from being down 3 to in the lead.
Bags full to bags empty. Smiles on the faces of the guys in the dugout down the right field line. The second one, that is. And just like that, 5-4, Danbury in front.
Well, this has been the issue all season for Newport, and was the issue for the Gulls against the Westerners just, 10 days ago, Max, when the bullpen had its struggles down the stretch. That was a 3-3 ball game until the last few innings when Danbury took off.
And here we've got a 5-4 ball game in the 4th inning. Carl Schmid would love to keep the rally going. Still only 1 gone in the away side of the first of the 3 middle frames. Schmid takes a strike at the knees. Wasn't happy about it, but a beautifully spotted slider at 83 miles an hour paints the bottom half. Walking a double for Schmid. Count evens at 2-2.
Talking to manager Mike Coombs before the game, I asked him his overall assessment of how the first half of the summer has gone, and he said, I'm very happy with the hitting. I think our starting rotation's in a good spot, but the back end of the bullpen is what concerns me a little bit.
That one's in there. Schmid goes down on strikes, and the fastball froze him for strike 3.
And I mean, how can you not be if you're Mike Coombs? You have a team that's given you a lead at one point in the game in 21 of your 22 games, and yet you're sitting here with 8 losses. So that tells you you've had some trouble holding on to leads, and we've seen it here again already tonight.
0 for 2 night so far by Buchero. Fly out to right field and a ground out to the shortstop is all she wrote so far for the man out of Fairfield. Stagg watches ball 1 go by at 80 miles an hour to even things up at 1-1.
Just back on the topic quickly of the Newport bullpen, Mike Coombs said they are searching for an arm, maybe more.
I mean, yeah, you got to think they have to be, especially when you have guys like Cade Connolly who were integral parts of your bullpen who have just been shut down by their colleges.
1-2. On the ground, another chance for the shortstop in Seymour. Gloves it, fires it, and on to first to retire the side. Not before Danbury strikes for 4 on the first grand slam of the year off the bat of Ray Leonzi. You're watching ESPN Plus.
Time I was a firefighter in Little Compton, and I was teaching a lot of classes, and being up there at 330 pounds was somewhat hypocritical. South Coast Health was excellent in providing the tools and the opportunities. You're retaught to eat after the surgery. And it was exciting to finally know that I was getting to where I wanted to be. Having kids, a 9-year-old son, it makes me feel really good that I'm in better shape to enjoy his childhood with him. I'm very happy. Very happy.
Muscar goes back to work, this time with a run advantage. 5-4 the score here against the Danbury Westerners and the Newport Gulls on ESPN+. Muscar had a bit of a shaky inning the last go-around, gave up a double to Burley, got an error by his second baseman, but able to pitch out of it, and now as he goes into inning number 2 of his night, got to think there's a little bit more confidence for him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a completely different scenario, really, for Muscar, who was pitching before this thinking, okay, the last thing I can do is allow another run to let Newport take an even greater lead. But after that grand slam from Ray Leonzi, all of a sudden you got a run of insurance. So I have to think that calms the nerves a little bit for Muscar here. And ideally for the Westerners, he can go a couple more innings if the score stays the same.
Thing that might not calm his nerves are the batters that he's going to have to see. 1, 2, and 3 due up. Top of the order has been exceptional tonight for Newport. 2, 3, and 4 is really where the chaos starts. Each one of those batters has driven in a run. 2 of those batters have recorded productive outs.
Andrew Duncan at the plate. He struggled as of late, 0 for his last 6, which was really weird because he was really hitting the ball well prior to this week. Had 4 multi-hit games last week, but struggling to see the ball last couple of games.
0-2 outside, gloved by Rios, but goes back to the hitter's side. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You mentioned the 0 for 6. He still posts an average of over 300 at 306. 15 hits to his name, looking for 16. Another one that misses high and away, 84 on the slider.
One thing that has not changed in this mini slump for Duncan is his impeccable vision at the plate. He will not chase a pitch that is not in the zone.
Guy who posted over 1,000 OPS in the month of June. Trying to lead things off for the Gulls, down by 1. Fouls this one into the netting, doesn't go through it, and Nolan Stevens couldn't follow the one-hand pickup train that the Gulls have started to compile tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to have better hands than Dixon Williams and Nico Brini.
Six extra base hits last month for Duncan. As this one's poked in the air to right field, it'll get down in front of Menser, racing around the bag and stopping about a third of the way past it is the leadoff man. And for the first time tonight, he finds himself on the base paths.
Yeah, Andrew Duncan shortened his swing there, just took the ball with its velocity to right field, and now the Westerners have something to think about in probably the fastest goal around on first base.
8 of the 9 goals have reached base safely. The only one who hasn't is Randy Seymour, who is on double deck at the number 4 spot. And for Seymour, he's a guy who's already produced an RBI, and both of his outs have been productive. Don't want to jump the gun on Nolan Stevens, though, a guy who drove in a run on a sac fly his last time around. Also walked and came around to score.
Stevens was one of 5 Gulls who have been stranded tonight, as was left on third base last time up.
First pitch was a fastball. We'll have to wait on the second pitch as Muscar checks on the runner in Andrew Duncan at the bag at first. He's back in plenty of time. Stevens, a guy who came into tonight with a .348 average with 24 hits to lead the Gulls.
Duncan going.
Runner goes, throw down to second base in the dirt. Good stop by Schmidt. but not in time to get the speedster and Duncan, and just like that, Gulls are 180 feet away from tying this game up.
And Duncan coming off a little bit worse for the wear on that slide to second base.
I think it's just one of the good old carpet burns on the dirt here at Cardines.
I think you're right, Max, and a lot of the games blend in at this point in the season. I can't remember if it was a home game. I think it might have been on the road where Duncan burned himself pretty badly on a slide. He was in quite a bit of pain the rest of the night. So I think he aggravated it then, maybe a week or a little over that ago. And so maybe that's a re-aggravation of perhaps a burn as we see him trying to shake it off.
Also ripped a hole in the pants there.
Yeah.
No one can say Andrew Duncan doesn't give 110%.
Strike at the knees. Beautiful pitch, beautiful frame.
Nolan Stevens, another one of those Gulls who's great as a two-strike hitter, will really shorten up his swing, especially with Duncan in scoring position. Probably won't even look to get a hit, just look to move the runner over, set up his teammate Brody Seiko, who already has 2 extra base hits tonight.
Chokes up on the bat on the two-strike approach, bounces it off a home plate, fielded by Muscar, fires to first, just in time to get the out. Runner doesn't advance. And all of a sudden, runner on second with now 1 gone here in the home half of the 4th.
And Nolan Stevens saying something. I think he's asking whether or not the first baseman came off the bag on that play.
Muscar's made a couple of really nice-looking plays off of the mound tonight. This time he had to go to the third base side. Last time he had to go to the first base side on Dixon Williams. Each of them have recorded as an out in the scorebook, and all of a sudden limits the damage with the runner on second, keeps him there number 1, gets it out on the scoreboard number 2. Now you got to go through Brody Seiko, a guy who's tattooed a couple of baseballs already.
Yeah, Seiko feeling really good right now, and you know Duncan knows that, which is why he's just dancing a little bit off of second base, just trying to get in Muscar's head a little bit. Anything to throw him off.
Pair of doubles so far to the night for the man out of Belleville, Texas, and a member of the ASUN first team this past season. How good was Mr. Seiko? How about a .319 average with 60 hits with 11 doubles?
And 15 home runs as well, 59 RBI. That's quite the stat line, I'd say, Max.
Like to see who won Player of the Year for the ASUN with those kind of numbers. Ball gets away from Rios, and an extra 90 feet acquired by Duncan. And he's that number away from knotting this game up.
Andrew Duncan, to at least my knowledge, the only player I've ever seen score on a wild pitch here at Cardines. He is that fast, which adds just another element to this at-bat for Muscar.
Puts everything back into play as the infield comes in. Sacrifice fly in option, and the rare guy who can score on the wild pitch, as Riley just told you. Big swing, looking to make this one a 1-run lead in favor of the Gulls that time was Seiko.
And in case anyone tuning in was curious about the answer to your question, who was the Player of the Year in the ASUN? It was his Austin P teammate in Lyle Miller Green.
Apple doesn't fall too far.
No.
Infield in. 2-2 count of a 1-run ball game. Big time strikeout. Muscar gets him on the upstairs slider. And 1 out away from preserving the Danbury lead.
Yeah, great pitch. Seiko, no hesitation. He knew his strike 3 was set, looking fastball, looking to drive home the run. Muscar absolutely fooled him with the off-speed stuff. And now it brings up Seymour, who has arguably been the Gulls' most clutch hitter so far this week. Had a couple big hits last night, drove in a run earlier today.
Hasn't reached base yet. He's the only Gull who hasn't, but both of his outs, like you were just saying, have been productive. RBI back in the first, and a ground out to third base back in the second. This one up the middle. It's going to get through. First time he's aboard, and the 5th run of the night for the Gulls is the tying run. Duncan scores easy. We're all square again.
And now every single Gulls player has reached base. You mentioned Seymour was the last guy yet to reach base, and going back to what manager Mike Coombs said, he's very happy with the offensive production from his team, and this is the reason why. Up and down the lineup, it doesn't matter where you look, this Gulls team produces. The offense has been far from the issue, and that's again on display tonight in another high-scoring game the Gulls are involved in.
Rocket shot off the bat of Seymour, 96 on the way back, and he's going to try for second. Pitch up high, Lorenzo's throw down is in time for the out. Bit of a dramatics from the third base umpire, J.C. Fernandez, but in the end, the goal is gunned down and will go to the fifth, all square at 5 apiece on ESPN+.
All right, it's time for the Chris Electric base race. Well, we're going to junior out for second base and a lot of time stopwatch. There we go. All they got to do is make it around the bases. First one back together. The t-shirt, don't hit junior at second base. Countdown would be 3, 2, 1, go. Last bit of division. This is Caroline and Xavier, and it's pretty darn close right now. And get that Kobe lost the shoe. That might be the secret. Here he comes. It might be Xavier for the finish, and we have a winner. Sub 20 seconds, not quite the record. Our record stands at 17.98 seconds, but 19.98 bad.
I don't want to be a chicken. I don't want to be a duck. I want to be a Newport Gull here at Cardines Field.
You
5-5 as we head to the fifth inning. Danbury saw their one-run lead go away after a nice base hit back up the middle, paired with some nice base running by Andrew Duncan, and we're all square. It's going to be a fun one if we keep playing like this from Newport, Rhode Island tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it, what was it, the first inning, that the Gulls have played 3 or 4 games this season that have had less than 10 runs. Well, we're through 4 innings here. There are already 10 runs on the board here at Cardines, and it doesn't give any indications that the offense is going to stop anytime soon.
Danbury scored 10 runs the last time these two met. 13 runs were scored total, and here we've got 5-5 on the board as Kavala goes back out to work, trying to make better efficiency out of the last inning. And really where he ran into trouble was 7, 8, and 9 did a great job getting on base, passing the baton back to Ray Leonzi, guy who loves the fastball, not going to miss one belt high.
And now the question is, you know, the offense has been getting it done for Newport. Can Michael Kavala and the rest of the bullpen that we see tonight get the job done as well?
Guy who spent 4 years at Union takes ball 1 upstairs. That's Kobe Menser. Single, drove in a run in the first, grounded out to third in his last at-bat. Guy who's been seeing the baseball exceptionally well, does a little bit of a dance in the left-handed batter's box to get out of the way. Count goes 2-0.
And I think this is one thing that Kavala needs to avoid. He did a good job with no runners on. Got 3 out of the 4 batters he faced with no runners on out, but once the runners got on base, he really struggled to have confidence in his pitches. And I think keeping runners off base is important for him to get through these innings relatively efficiently.
Menser got out of the way so hard he lost his shoe, had to tie it there before taking the third pitch of this at-bat. The single back in the first inning was hit number 10 for Menser. Guy who gets on base any way he can, came into tonight with a .486 on base percentage paired with a .400 slugging percentage.
Kavala not afraid to go inside as he's making Menser fight for every inch of that batter's box.
Tried to front door a slider that time, but missed. Hitters count. And a pitch that paints the corner, 86.
Great pitch there. Paints the corner with some arm side run, so it looks like it's going to come in.
Payoff pitch in the dirt. Good take by Menser, and he's drawn his 9th walk of the year. A guy who has 82 of them, the season program record with Union. And he's aboard at first.
And on that payoff pitch, Kavala just tried to do a little too much there. Had shown that he had enough to get by him with the fastball, especially with that run, but instead tried to be a little too cute with the off-speed stuff, couldn't quite locate it.
5th free pass of the night given up by the Newport Gulls pitching staff. Ball in the dirt to Dante Diamore, a guy who's drawn 2 of those 5.
You were thinking about that Yankees-Red Sox game for a second, Max. It's all right.
Can't say I wasn't.
It's all right. You can wait a little. They're in a rain delay.
That is true.
One-oh pitch. In there, 80 on the gun, slider that clips the top half of the zone. And
Yeah,
finally,
Diamore.
Kavala working from even in the count.
Diamore was sitting fastball there, had to back out of the box. He was so shocked by the off-speed.
Fouls this one into the netting. Menser got a good jump at first, maybe trying to do a little bit of a hit and run. Had to adjust to another slider. Couldn't
And
get it in fair play, but fouled it off.
Brody Seiko will join the exclusive club. Currently, only members are Nico Brini and Dixon Williams, making himself a nice one-handed catch off the netting.
1-2 in the dirt. Good block by the backstop in Burley. Keeps it in front of him and saved 90 feet.
And there's Burley again being called into action behind the dish, having to adjust real quickly. And tell you what, a good, 95% of those balls have been staying in front of him. He's been doing a great job preventing Danbury from claiming those extra bases.
2-2 to Diamore outside. Count runs full. Second straight batter that has seen a full count.
And this is important here for Kavala. He can't do what he did a batter ago and put one outside the zone and have faith that the batter's going to chase. He's got to put it in.
3-2 outside or inside. Diamore draws his 3rd walk of the night. How good has Dante Diamore been? Well, exceptional. A guy who was just 2 for 20 coming into today. That number still stands true, and the average still over that 250 mark at 267.
And this is what Kavala struggled with, that command. A couple of walks to start the inning, and Coombs points towards the bullpen. And we will have the 3rd pitcher of the game entering the contest here in the 5th inning for Newport. It's unfortunate for Kavala, just another night where he couldn't get into any sort of rhythm.
New pitcher will start where Kavala started. It'll be with Hayden Miller. And the biggest problem for Kavala was, number 1, the sporadicness. Couldn't really get control of any of the batters. Walked 3 batters, and then, of course, gave up the grand slam to Ray Leonzi. But also never really found his rhythm in terms of working from ahead. Always seemed like he was behind in the count, 1-0 or 2-0. And these Danbury batters were very patient at the plate, give them credit there. And then when they got the pitches they wanted to hit, they capitalized.
That's right, and it's always going to hurt you when you put yourself in that hole if you're Kavala. Down in the count, we see it's Mitchell Dean entering the game, replacing Kavala. And yeah, you can see Kavala a bit frustrated walking to the dugout. It's, again, unfortunate where he could never get in the rhythm, and I agree with you, Max. The way he went down in the count often against hitters, they're going to make you pay, especially against, it doesn't matter that Danbury has the worst record in the NECBL. It's a real good collegiate summer league where you gotta be in control against every batter you face. And unfortunately, Kavala just couldn't find that command and couldn't find any sort of rhythm in his brief stint out of the bullpen tonight. Now we'll see how Mitchell Dean fares, making his 5th appearance of the summer for Newport.
This game, one of 5 games around the NECBL. Elsewhere, the Schooners just over the North Shore Navigators 6-4. Bristol and North Adams in the battle for the West Division 6-2 in favor of the Steeplecats. The hottest team in the league. Vermont Mountaineers look to stay hot at Montpelier. They lead the Blue Sox 4-0, and the Upper Valley Nighthawks behind the Keene Swamp Bats 4-1, bottom of the 2nd from Alumni Field. This one all knotted at 5 apiece. 3rd arm out of on the bump for the Newport Gulls, becomes the 2nd out of the bullpen. And for Dean, the biggest thing to work on here is, number 1, start from ahead, but number 2, try and limit the damage in this inning. Danbury's already got 2 runners aboard with nobody out.
And Dean is familiar with these Westerners as well. His last appearance actually came in that game at Danbury 10 days ago, where He came in for an inning, allowed a couple of hits, a couple of runs, both of which were earned with 1 walk and 1 strikeout. So the Louisville product with a chance to bounce back against these same Westerners.
And he does the same thing kind of that Muscar does in that he brings a lot more height, which changes just the batter's approach, and they have to adjust their eye level.
Miller shows bunt, pulls back. Menser was able to get back to the bag at second after being halfway between the 2 bags of second and third. And Miller, much like we saw starting the night for Cavallo, will start the night for Dean.
Corners in here for the Gulls.
Doesn't show bunt this time, does the College of Charleston Cougar. And another batter, 3rd straight one this inning that has started in a hitters-friendly count. This time it's 2-0. Second baseman tonight came in with 9 hits and a .290 batting average. He's 0 for 2 so far tonight. With Menser at second and Diamore at first. 2-0 pitch,
bunt.
showing bunt, gets away, and actually hit Hayden Miller. He'll take the free base. And for the second straight inning, the Danbury Westerners have the bags full.
I'd love to see a replay of that. Because for a second, it looked eerily similar to Nico Brini in that it didn't seem like he pulled his bat all the way back.
We get a look at the replay here.
Pulled it enough back that it is not a swing, so a good call there from the umpires.
And that's just worst case scenario as well for Mitchell Dean to hit the first batter he faces and load up the bases, still no outs as well.
First pitch to Rios. Big swing and a miss over the top of a nice breaking ball at 75. Really good pitch by Dean. 2 for 2 tonight is Rios. A couple of nice plays in the defensive area as well behind the dish. And a ball that got him on the back. Second straight batter to wear a pitch, and he'll take his base at first for free.
I'd imagine that one's not going to hurt particularly much. An off-speed one got away from Mitchell Dean, and the Gulls bullpen continuing to have struggles in finding the strike zone.
Becomes the 4th straight free pass, and becomes the 5th free pass allowed by the Gulls bullpen.
And this was an issue just 24 hours ago against Keene, where Newport walked in multiple batters in the 9th inning to ultimately surrender that game and fall 12-8. And unfortunately, it's a similar issue here for the bullpen. I guess you could say the light at the end of the tunnel is that it's only the 6th inning, and so with Newport's bats being red hot,
not only that,
your
Sam,
chance with a shootout. But
I know why you think it's the 6th inning, but it's actually only the top of
the 5th. Sorry, yes, that backs up my point even more, though. Excuse me.
Persano checks his swing. They check with the first base umpire in Charlie Tashia. He says he held up. Next pitch to the Demon Deacon, high and away. No thought of even lifting the lumber that time.
And Dean's consistently missing high right now. He needs to figure out just a slight adjustment to his release point. He's releasing a little too early, which is why all these pitches are popping out of his hand.
Another pitch, not even close to the zone. Got to think the green light is all the way off for Ryan Persano. Interestingly enough, we have seen him hit a long ball on a 3-0 count. It came back in Rogers Park a couple of days ago. This time, no thought of even swinging. Takes a fastball down the heart of the plate.
That is what I like to call a 3-0 strike.
Bags are full of Westies. Diamore at third, Miller at second, Rios at first. Persano tried to empty him, but swings at the high cheese and has made this count run full.
I mean, you can't really blame him. He saw what Leonci did in the 4th and said, I want a piece of that.
3-2. High and away. Another free pass. Everybody this inning getting on board via it.
Yeah, there's not really much more to add, Max. It's walks, hit by pitches and walks, and that's the unfortunate reality. Danbury hasn't recorded a hit this inning, yet 2 runs so far, and still a big goose egg on the scoreboard where it says outs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it seems like right now the Gulls are really searching for answers, and as we see Drew DeLucia begin a walk to the pen, it's arms like those, which, because of the amount of times this Gulls bullpen has been put in this early inning appearances, they don't have Drew DeLucia tonight. They probably don't have Ty Stark tonight. Like, they don't have Adam Walker tonight.
Nope.
The arms that they would normally turn to in this situation aren't necessarily available, and because of that, as Ty Stark apparently is available tonight, as he's going to come onto the field here, see if he can get out of this, but this is what kind of we were talking about pregame, Sam, has concerned us with just the amount of starting pitching that's been lost with the loss of Adam Marr, the loss of Jackson Tier. And when you only have starters who are giving you 3, 4, 5 innings, your bullpen's just going to get overtaxed to this point where you just don't have arms to turn to when you really need them.
And so Ty Stark entering the game, but before that, we will step aside for a quick moment, tell you more about the lefty from Louisville while you guys catch your breath here on ESPN Plus. Back in a flash.
Your one-stop shop for all your sports card needs. Located at 269 Spring Street, Newport. Your attention, please. Coming in to pitch for the Newport Gulls, number 41, Ty Stark, from the University of Louisville, and he resides in the city of Louisville, Kentucky.
Welcome you back to Newport Gulls baseball. Bases are full, and it's a very tough situation to inherit if you're Ty Stark.
Yeah, absolutely, but Ty Stark has been nothing short of sensational so far this year. In 6 appearances, yet to give up an earned run in more than 12 innings pitched, and in those 12 and a third, 23 strikeouts, only 5 walks. He is a dynamite beast on the mound. Kevin Long, the Gulls pitching coach, said he reminds him a little bit of what he saw from Chris Sale back when he saw Chris Sale in the Cape Cod League. And, I mean, you only need a pitch or two from Ty Stark to see why he thinks that.
He'll have the number 9 hole hitter in Jacoby Davis. He drew a walk his last at-bat, also flew out to right field in his first. Every batter this inning has reached via either a hit by pitch or a walk. Last to do so was Ryan Persano. He stands at first. Rios at second, and Miller on the bag 90 feet away. First pitch. Davis taking the whole way. Can't blame him, and it's a beautifully dotted fastball, 86 miles an hour on the inner half.
Yeah, that 3-quarter release from Ty Stark is so hard to pick up, especially for a lefty with that glove side run.
Becomes the 3rd arm of the inning. Davis checks his swing, ball gets away, can't find it, can the catcher. Miller tries to deke him out with a point. Now the pitcher will get it. Miller ducks out of the way. Everybody advances 90 feet, and all of a sudden, 7-5 Danbury.
Yeah, Burley didn't know where the ball was, and for a while, I don't think Stark did either. He was just running towards the plate, hoping that Burley would get to that ball, and as Newport players were shouting, to the right side, Stark was looking all over the place, and by the time he saw that ball, Miller was well on his way home for the 3rd run of the inning.
I think the funniest part about that whole play is when Miller crossed home plate, started pointing to the opposite side,
Yes.
trying to fool the catcher and Burley.
Yeah, I mean, that's a It's a choice from Miller for sure.
1-1 gets Davis on the big red helmet. Grips it a couple times. Trying to see if
I think
he's
the ump
okay.
is putting him in concussion protocol right now, or at least giving him a quick concussion test, as that is now 6 consecutive batters to reach base either via walk or HBP. And you have to imagine that rattles Ty Stark a little bit here.
Davis pointing out where he got hit. Head coach Connor Farrell comes over to talk to the superstar outfielder. Now medical trainer for the Gulls comes out to talk to Jacoby Davis, as well as the third base coach Bobby Rodriguez.
I'm guessing based on league protocol, as they're going to send Davis, that actually surprises me. I was about to say I wouldn't be surprised if they have to pull him, but looks like he's good to go. And, I mean, Ty Stark now really has to just find a way to put that out of his head completely. It's so easy, especially when you hit a batter that high up, to let it affect you, to let you start playing a little bit further over towards the other batter's box with your pitch locations. He has to put that out of his mind, focus on this batter, and just go back to pitching the way he's been pitching all year.
Leonzi sent one over the right field fence for the first for the first grand slam of the Danbury Westerners season. Has a chance to do so again. Similar bags for the man. Runner on third is Rios. Runner on second, Persano, and Davis at first.
And just for those of you at home who maybe got in after the commercial break, Danbury still yet to put a ball in play this inning.
Nobody out here in the top frame of the fifth. And another count that has worked its way to a batter's friendly. Last 9 batters, as we're back to the top of the order, went 1 for 3. That one was off the bat at 26, and it deposited 4 runs.
In the leadoff spot for a reason is Ray Leonzi, and he showed that in the 4th inning. And hey, the chances here to do it again for him.
If anyone was going to get a green light in this situation, it'd be him.
3-0. Doesn't get it, and to steal a word you would use, Riley, a 3-0 strike that time by the man on the bump in Stark.
And Ty Stark's body language, just something we really haven't seen a whole lot this year. Normally a very jovial fella.
Another pitch that misses up high, and the roundabout continues. The 4th run scored in the inning, and it's 9-5.
Roundabout is a good way to put it, Max, because that's what this inning has been. Carl Schmidt here is going to be the 8th batter of the inning. Danbury hasn't needed to record a hit to put up 4 runs in this inning, and I wouldn't expect Ty Stark either to hit the first batter with a pitch and then walk him, because he's been so dominant this summer.
And I can tell you firsthand that Ty Stark is definitely in his own head after hitting that batter. He was throwing pitches right around the batter's hands, putting him on the black, and since he hit that batter, hit Davis, has not thrown a pitch that has come remotely close to the zone, with the exception of that 3-0 strike.
And you mentioned it was going to be tough to get out of that mindset after hitting a batter that high up, that early on in your time on the mound, but certainly has not been friendly for Stark. Comes back with a strike here, though, in the best count of the inning. It's 1-1. Schmidt holds up.
Ooh, that looks pretty good.
Looked like it was just a little high from this angle, but very close, and Schmidt took it. Guy who doubled in his first at-bat came around to score in inning number 1. Big swing and a miss by 16, knotted at 2.
Also very familiar with Jake Burley, who tagged him out when he tried to steal home on the wild pitch in the 3rd.
2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out with the bases juiced. Schmidt takes all the way. Strike 3 called. Back-to-back looking strikeouts for Schmidt. And just like that, there's 1 gone in the 5th.
Well, finally that first out is on the scoreboard, and that's got to be a big relief for Ty Stark. For a pitcher as dominant as Stark, I feel like to get that backwards K against Schmidt could go a long way for him in terms of just settling him down and getting out of this without any more damage done. And now we see a car's headlights putting a pause on play temporarily. And the players everywhere are trying to get the attention of that car and tell them to turn those headlights off.
So is our lovely PA announcer, Don Bradley, who makes his displeasure with the headlights known in no uncertain terms. And it might take Nolan Stevens climbing the fence to get that car to turn off the lights. You would think with all the kids out there that someone would be able to tell them, but it's now been a good minute plus, and those lights are still on.
And Don bringing out the jokes, the PA announcer here at Cardines saying he must be from Cranston. Don't know what Don has against Cranston, Rhode Island, but clearly something. And it looks like that car has finally got the message, Max.
Whatever he has against Cranston is probably what our executive producer, Tom Lima, has against Danbury.
Lights are off. We're ready to go here at Cardines, and the first pitch to Buchero is fouled back for strike one. Interesting to see Buchero get the green light after so many balls have been thrown, but after the looking strikeout from Schmid, gotta think anything's on the table.
And you gotta know who's really happy about that car. Ty Stark, who got a full 2 minutes to clear his head.
0-1 in the dirt, gloved by Burley. Another nice stop by the backstop. Keeps everybody right where they are. Leonzi drew a walk. He's on first. At second, it's Davis. At third, it's Persano. Buchero looking for his first hit of the night. He's 0 for 3. Pair of ground outs to the shortstop. Takes 84 outside.
Great job framing that by Burley. That ball was a good 3 inches off the plate. Had the crowd asking for a strike from the umpire.
Danbury scored 13 runs yesterday, but they did compile over 12 hits. Today it's been a little bit of the opposite story. 9 runs scored. They've only got the 6 hits to their name.
Well, you can do that when seemingly everyone in the lineup has reached base via either a walk or an HBP.
2-2. Swung on, driven the other way, and into the netting.
It's been so long, I almost forgot what the sound of a bat hitting a ball sounded like.
You and me both. You and me both. 2-2 count stays that way after the foul ball.
Burley sets up outside.
Stark's delivery inside. It was a slider. He tried to backdoor it, but the lefty missed it and back-footed it to make this count run full.
And a lot of these this inning, Gulls have yet to come ahead.
3-2. Outside, another walk, and another run driven in. The 5th of the inning becomes the 8th free pass of the inning, and Danbury's batted around.
And you can just sense the frustration among the crowd here at Cardines Field. 5 runs put up in the inning. We've gone through the entire lineup. This will be Menser's second plate appearance of the frame, and Danbury hasn't had to put the ball in play. That's the most frustrating part.
Menser again takes all the way.
So that is now 3 charged to Kavala, 3 charged to Mitchell Dean. The next run, if they were to score, would be the first that would be charged to Ty Stark, as Kevin Long goes for what feels like his 8th pitching visit this inning, when in reality it's only, I believe, his 3rd.
Again, trying to either calm down the arm on the mound or try and stall for the next man out of the pen, who kind of alluded to it already. Who's that arm going to be with how much use this Newport pen has gotten?
Especially with a guy like Stark, who has gone out there and dominated. You expect him to come in, really cruise through, and pitch another inning or two, really, the way things are going, considering it's still the 5th inning. I mean, we're 2 hours and 14 minutes in, and we're not at the midway point of this ball game, which is hard to believe, Max.
You know how they have the, NECBL record for attendance? They should have an NECBL record for time played at home games, because I'm pretty sure Newport would break it this year.
Pitch inside to Kobe Menser, the man who started this inning with a walk, came around to score earlier. in there for a strike. 2-1 goes the count. Danbury's a team looking for back-to-back wins in over a season of work. They're the only team this year to not have those back-to-back wins yet. Have to go back to July 26th and July 22nd. Won both those games over the Blues of Bristol, coincidentally.
How about that? And now the Westerners with a real chance of sweeping the season series against Newport. Who would have thought?
Best team in the coast is trailing to the worst team out west. And an inning that is still going on. Top of the fifth have seen 5 runs scored. 10-5 lead for Danbury. As Menser's got a 2-2 count on his hands. Slaps this one in play, could be 2. Ground ball to Orban, and he throws it to first to get the 1. Everybody else is safe 90 feet further.
I mean, I get it from Luke Orban, but just sitting here watching the struggles that have beguiled the Gulls pitchers this inning, I feel like you got to take the chance and flip it to second. Because, yeah, an out's nice, but a double play would do wonders.
Got to think that was the speed out there by Buchero that got him down to second base. And it keeps this inning alive. Diamore for a second time in the fifth.
It definitely was the speed of Buchero, because I can tell you what, they could have flipped to second. Even if they didn't get Buchero, they still would have had time to get the runner at first.
Pitch clips the upper half of the zone at 85 miles an hour. For all the walks and hit by pitches in this game, Diamore's been the best at it. He's got 3 free passes tonight. Walk in the first, third, and earlier in this inning. Goes around, ball gets away from the catcher, he can't find it. Leonzi is going to score standing up, and Buchero will take the additional 90 feet, one of the few times that a ball gets away and allows a run to score. More importantly, one of the few times a run scores without a walk or a hit by pitch.
That's very true. Still no ball put in play for a hit, but again, Danbury will take it. And Jake Burley, he had no idea. It took a while for him to even have a clue of where that ball was, to the point where even Buchero over there at third thought about taking off for home.
He stands at third base. Leonzi becomes run number 7 of the fifth. As the Deuces go wild, and a very wild inning at that. 2-2. High and tight, ball 3.
I wish I started my stopwatch when this top of the fifth started, because this has been one of the longer half innings I've witnessed all summer long, Max. I don't know about you.
Definitely got to be up there, most likely the longest as well. Full count pitch. Inside for the 4th time tonight, Dante Diamore trots down to the bag at first.
And Diamore, it's the 5th inning, and he's been walked 4 times. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
I don't know.
That's incredible.
I mean, it's obscene to think it is the 5th inning. Diamore has been on base 4 times and is yet to record an at-bat.
That's the type of game it's been.
For the first time in the inning, first time in recent memory, a count has worked its way to 0-1. And it goes on Hayden Miller, a guy who was hit by a pitch and then later scored again earlier in this inning. And maybe for the first time tonight, a count's worked its way to 0-2 after the swing and a miss. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Big swing and a miss. The Gulls get out of the inning. 7 runs on no hits, no errors, and 2 left. We're midway through on ESPN Plus when we come back. Tyler Muscar will go to work after what feels like an eternity on the bench. He'll have to deal with 5, 6, and 7, and it seems slim, Sam, but if you're the Newport Gulls, you just got to get one runner on base, and then who knows, the floodgates could open.
I said it seriously at the time because I meant it, that the positive thing to look at for Newport is that it's just the 5th inning right now. I said that after 1 run was conceded in the 5th. It ended up being 7, which I didn't see coming, but I suppose the point still stands where, that was one of the rougher innings we've seen from Newport's bullpen this season, but it's still, the 5th inning of play. It's a Newport offense that can get hot. There is still time left. You got to look at the positives here for the Gulls, and there's still a lot of ball game left, even though we're almost 2.5 hours in.
Well, I'll give you some positive. I mean, just looking at this week, this is a Gulls team, right, that has come back from a 5-run deficit and an 8-run deficit. So they're not particularly going to be fazed by a 7-run deficit. They know what it takes. They know how to chip away. And they seemingly just have a knack for tying things up here at Cardines. And, I mean, it's been only 4 innings of offense. They already have 7 hits. This is an offense that could very easily, as we're going to have to take a slight break for our president of baseball operations, Mike Falcone, to finish raking up third base.
Mike's putting in all the work there. He's on the tractor. And that's why we have a bit of a delay. You see right there, a great shot of it. Looks like they've sorted it all out.
So
We're
that's
ready to
now
resume play.
A headlight delay and a tractor delay in the 5th inning, correct?
That would do it.
And the last thing we need is a delay in an inning that's lasted an eternity. But.
And I think now they're stopping play again for something. It might be all of the Westerners doing squats on the third baseline.
We got to look down the way for Danbury, and as Tyler Muscar continues his night of work in the 5th inning, it did look like Charlie West again warming up down the way for Danbury.
What are we waiting for?
An eye on him.
Umpires are signaling to wait, and Muscar is visibly getting frustrated with that. Going for a nice stroll in the Newport evening.
You got to remember, this has been a long couple days.
Oh, no, I don't blame him. I would be frustrated, too, if I was ready to pitch. I don't know what they are waiting on. I don't see any headlights on. Don't see anyone on the field.
It's something behind third base. That's
it
where
is.
Persano, the third base umpire, and the third base coach for Newport are all standing as they race down with the rake.
Great hustle.
Get the high knees going. Wow. Wish we got a 90 time on that one. That was fast. Looks like a little bit of water.
Oh, they did not do. No,
the
they
field.
did not do a good job of evening back out that dirt whatsoever.
Muscar will get a couple of extra warm-up pitches as 5, 6, and 7 due up in the inning. It all starts with one base runner, and for Dixon Williams, a guy who's got a lot of speed, stole a base earlier today, also has a single to his name. Got to think it starts with the man out of ECU.
Yeah, and it's got to be frustrating for Dixon Williams, who started this at-bat, if you remember, an hour ago before Randy Seymour got thrown out trying to steal second base.
First pitch on the ground. Miller gobbles, takes his time, and flips it over to first. One pitch, one out. The pitcher's best friend here in the 5th to start things off.
Muscar has been looking real solid so far through 2+ innings, and now a whole lot of run support as well, which only helps out the lefty. I don't mind the approach of Williams attacking the first pitch, trying to spark something as the leadoff man this inning, but unfortunately it was a rather routine play for the Danbury infield.
Another pitch swung on. Another ground ball to second. Another out recorded. Back-to-back 4 threes in the scorebook have put 2 up and 2 down in 2 pitches here in the bottom half of the 5th.
Well, it's only fitting that after a marathon top of the 5th, we have 2 outs within the first 2 pitches. That was deja vu, quite frankly. I mean, Austin Ford hit it to almost the exact same spot Williams did with the same result.
Is Burley going to make it 3 pitches, 3 outs here in the 5th? We'll have to wait and see. The catcher has been phenomenal behind the dish. Also a double and a strikeout on the offensive side of things. does not swing at the first pitch, but gets a called strike for his trouble. 89, top half of the zone.
I can tell you why he didn't swing at that pitch. Jake Burley just spent an hour in the crouch position. He wants a little more time for his quads to rest.
0-1, swings at this one, chops it down the line at third, and it's going to stay in fair territory. Rounding first, heading for second is number 8, and he's a blur on the base path. Slides in for the double, and with 2 gone, the second double of the night for the catcher becomes the first hit of the bottom of the 5th.
And maybe this is a night to remember from Jake Burley's perspective, where he only had 4 hits in his first 10 games of the summer with the Gulls. What does he do tonight? A couple of doubles and back-to-back at-bats. So maybe this is a night where we point at saying, hey, this is when Jake Burley got going offensively.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Burley, regardless of how this game finishes, Jake Burley's going to use a lot of tonight for his highlight reel.
Passes it back to Orban. Single, stolen base, and a run scored in his first trip around the bases. In the third, he was cut down with a strikeout looking. And for Orban, he falls behind 0-1. Good stop by Rios behind the dish to keep it in front, but the count does even at 1 apiece. Man from the St. John's Red Storm, spent 3 seasons with the Red Storm and was a member of the 2024 Big East Champs this past season, a good one. 271 on the average. Guy who had 52 hits and a 367 on-base percentage.
Pretty cool as well for Orban, playing with his brother Paul at St. John's, and from the area as well, a New Hyde Park native.
Muscar looking for one more pitch to close the book on the 5th, and he got it! Second looking strikeout of the night for Orban, and becomes the 5th strikeout for the Danbury Westerners pitching staff, and closes the book on the 5th inning. We'll go to the 6 on ESPN+.
So here is our 3 furthest travelers. Oh, this is the last call for my tickets for tonight, 50-50. Brought to you by our very own Newport Gulls interns. We'll pull the winner coming up shortly. For now, we're back with our 3 Discover Newport furthest travelers. And I'm going to ask them one question with a numerical answer. Price is right rules. Whoever gets the closest without going over wins, unless they all go over. So, it's Red Sox Foundation Night. So the question is about Fenway Park. What is the nighttime seating capacity of Fenway Park? All right. You next. 50,000. 5,000. Oh, it was close, but it's over. The right answer is 37,755. Filipo, as the only one that hasn't gone over, you win. That seating includes 269 seats on the iconic Green Monster. Thanks for playing, guys, and thank you to Discover Newport for sponsoring.
Top half of the 5th took about 45 to an hour. Bottom half of the 5th went by, and as fast as you can say, Newport Gulls trail 12-5 on ESPN+. We welcome you back, and Stark goes back out onto the mound to try and calm the storm of this Danbury offense that will see 7, 8, and 9 come to the plate.
And it is a clean slate for Ty Stark, so that's the bright spot as well. And I think realistically, if Stark can roll through the 6th, they'll have him go 7th, maybe even into the 8th, the way the bullpen's thin. I think that's a real possibility. And just flashing back to that 5th as well, it's crazy to think that there were 12 total batters that inning without a single hit being recorded by Danbury, putting 7 on the board. But Stark and the rest of Newport just has to put that behind them and focus here. Again, Ty Stark, a really dominant pitcher for this Newport team throughout the summer, has to go back to what works best for him.
Absolutely, and I think I'm actually going to go further than you, Sam. I'm going to say that unless the offense gets, let's say, 3 runs in the next 2 innings, if Ty Stark's dealing, he might not come out tonight. They might just say, Ty, you're going to be the long man tonight. You're going to get us the rest of the way, and we're going to save the rest of the arms for the next 13 days where there are 14 games.
Rios out in front of a breaking ball. Count goes to 0-2 in favor of the pitcher. Danbury's a team who scores a lot of runs, back-to-back nights where they've scored 10+, and they're at 25 through call it 15 innings of action, but a team that also gave up 11 unanswered runs last night that took them into the extra innings category for a second time this season. And whether it was some of the chaotic antics that took place at the end of the game at Rogers Park a night ago, whether it was the rest time that happened during that sequence, still allowed the 11 runs. This one off the bat of Rios, touches the bag at third, and a nice play by the third baseman, Williams, who gathered and fired to get the catcher.
That was a fuel cue shot down the third baseline. Took a nice hop for Dixon and an absolute cannon to get the runner at first.
Really good play by the third baseman, too. We've highlighted the speed of Rios as you get another look at it here. Just kicks up off the bag, maybe right place, right time in a way, but impressive to get it and fire it all in one motion.
That can always throw you off as a third baseman, but not Williams.
1 for 2 is Ryan Persano, the man who just swung through the first pitch fastball at 85. Singled and scored in the fourth, walked and scored in the fifth. Also has an RBI to his name. Guy hit a home run last night. Not the furthest ball by any means. Think the end velocity was in the 330 ballpark. As he laces this one, almost gets one of his teammates down the way in the dugout. That would not have been a friendly one to get hit by. 99 off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to that RBI, got to think the B in that RBI doing a lot of work there. Don't think he swung in that entire at-bat. So part of that stretch of 7 consecutive Westerners to reach without putting a ball in play.
Caught a run brought in. How about that? 0-2 pitch to the Demon Deacon. High and away, 1-2. Mentioned the 330 home run last night. He hit one at Muzzy Field, 392 and 103 off the bat. Only got a double out of it, so a little bit of trade-off the other night at Rogers Park. Swings through the 1-2, down on strikes for a second time tonight is Persano. And Stark has quickly retired the first 2 in this inning.
And that's more what we are used to seeing from Ty Stark. Loves to elevate that fastball, can get batters to chase it because it's so hard to pick up out of his hand because of that sidearm 3/4 release point.
Davis just 0 for 1 tonight. It was a fly out to right field that came back in the second inning. Since he's been hit, he's walked, and he's scored both times he's been around the bases. For a guy who comes in batting under 100, just 5 hits to his name in 52 at-bats, and playing in Game 17 tonight.
Well, this is his chance to change that. No pressure whatsoever on pretty much anyone on this field right now.
Guy who swings so hard in batting practice. I mean, when he's in the turtle, it is just look where the pitch is and then look over the fence. That's the best chance you're going to get to see it leave. But he's even in the count, 1-1. Lifted into foul territory. Not a whole lot offered here at Cardines, and it's quickly into the highway, and he's behind 1-2.
I don't know how many. I think it was like a good 4 or 5 cars that got hit last night. People were getting out of Newport after the fireworks show. Traffic was backed up every which way, and those lefties, they just keep hitting them onto America's Cup Ave.
It would be the first 1-2-3 inning of the night recorded by the Gulls pitching staff, and it is. Swinging strikeout by Davis, second of its kind in the inning. And Danbury goes down on strikes. Much quicker top half of the 6th than what preceded it in the 5th. No runs, no hits, no errors. And we're through 5.5 on ESPN+. Charles West, the third Danbury Westerner on the bump here at Cardines Field, and he becomes the 5th time appearance on the season. A man who posts a 3.68 ERA and 7.1 innings pitched. 9 strikeouts to go with just 5 walks, but partner, 9 hits allowed this season for the man out of UConn.
Yeah, exactly. Playing at UConn, as a freshman, got 7 outings to his name as a freshman for Charlie West. Not too shabby for a very good UConn program that once again made some noise in the NCAA tournament, made it to the Supers before falling to Florida State. So really good experience at a high level for West. 5th appearance, respectable numbers overall, I think, Max. That ERA right around 3.5, 3.68 in his 4 outings so far. So not a bad option to go to after what was a job well done from Tyler Muscar through 3 innings of work. The bullpen working well thus far through 5 innings. We'll see how the 6th pans out for this Danbury team. The bullpen not going so well for Newport on the other hand. And that's been the difference between these 2 teams tonight, Max.
Certainly has, and just looking a little bit deeper at Charles West, last game he came in, it was all said and done at Ocean State, but did go 1 very solid inning of work against the Waves. 1 hit allowed on 5 batters faced. Comes in with an opponent batting average at that 300 mark. That'd be the number to look out for. All 3 of the pitchers tonight in Wooten, in Muscar, and in Charles West are guys who trust their fielders a whole lot. I mean, it's a defense that has made upwards of 140 errors on the year, but when they're good, they are really good. The 140 errors doesn't really tell the whole tale, especially when you got a guy like Jacoby Davis in center field. Not here today, but you've got a guy like Michael Iannazzo who's played second, who's played third. Defense that's really kind of meshed together really well as this season's progressed.
Kind of impressed, not going to lie, about the kind of velocity West is bringing right off the get. I mean, it's hard to remember, but he went to warm up a whole bus ride back to Danbury ago.
Another fastball peppering the zone right now is West, and continues to work on that bottom half. Kind of 3 sides of 3 different triangles tonight. West, more of a smaller guy, 5'11", 175 pounds, in contrast to the 6'5", 220 that Muscar just delivered. Kind of that hybrid between Wooten and Muscar. Uses a lot of that lower half, but also not afraid to come over the top and just fire it in there. Two. Breaking ball over the top, the definition of 6-12. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, Nico Brini. And strikeout number 5 of the night becomes 1 for Charles West.
71 miles an hour from West, and that ball had an insane amount of break, was well above the zone, and at the last second dipped down on Brini. That's some filth from the lefty out of UConn.
So high, I thought I saw you ducking out of the corner of my eye. I thought it was going to get up here.
Oh, yeah.
That ball started off the plate at Nico Brini and ended up in the righty's batter's box.
First pitch fastball this time, center cut, and it's fouled back by Andrew Duncan.
And I think if the Gulls can take anything away from this, it'd be nice for them to see Duncan get another hit, really show that he's back in form, because they have a very tight race in the Coastal Division, have to go to Mystic tomorrow, so they need their offense humming.
1 for 3 on the night is the center fielder. Single came in the 4th inning, stole a bag in that inning as well.
And Mystic won their game over North Shore, so if Newport loses tonight, Mystic's all of a sudden just 1 game back of the Gulls with a pivotal matchup tomorrow.
Tries to go back to that breaking ball and starts it a little bit too low.
That's a crazy thought. We were here at Cardines at a point yesterday where the Gulls had a 3.5 game lead in the Coastal. If they were to not come back tonight and lose tomorrow, they would no longer be leading the division.
They call it the NECBL, but they don't tell you it's the New England Chaos Baseball League. Pitch inside, nearly catches the batter in Duncan, but sails by for a ball, 3-1. Just looking elsewhere across the NECBL, Mountaineers continue to just stay red hot, but you look behind them and the Swamp Bats have risen from the swamp, 14-8 to be just 2.5 games back in what is a stacked North Division. Everybody on winning streaks, everybody within 2 games of 500 or better than that 500 mark. And then you look at the Coastal Division, another very competitive division. 3 top dogs, Gulls, Schooners, and Sharks. Sharks, by the way, 5 in a row. I believe it's 6 of their last 8 at home as well, have come out of nowhere to be in 3rd place in a game behind 500.
Both the Sharks and the Schooners 8-2 in their last 10. So all of a sudden, the Coastal Division becoming much more competitive near the top than we saw just a few days ago, really.
Not only that, North Shore, as that one hit high in the air.
Should be a can of corn for Davis out in center field. In, now back, and a catch above the cap for out number 2.
North Shore was actually the leader of the Coastal Division for the first 2 weeks or so of this season, and have really fallen off as of late, 3-7 in their last 10, as well as Ocean State. I mean, there was a point that other than the Sharks, every single team in the Coastal was within half a game. And it looks like if these games start heading the way we think they're going to, we could find ourselves back in that situation within a couple days.
What's utterly so chaotic about the entire thing is you look at a team like the Navigators or Ocean State, both 9-13. If they were in the West Division, they'd be 2 games out of first place with a more than fighting chance. By the way, just to take you around the West, Blues 11-11 in first place, 3-7 in their last 10. Valley Blue Sox in second place, a game out, 9-11. And the Steeple Cats at 9-13, just 2 games out. These Westerners at 6-16, blink of an eye. If they have a stretch that the Sharks had in the last week, they're right back in it.
Well, right now, 2 games under 500 is the last playoff spot. So, theoretically, you go 500 from here on out if you're Danbury. Give yourself an extra win or 2, and you're right in the hunt for a final spot, if not contending for the division.
Count runs to 2-0 on Nolan Stevens, a guy who productive out in the second, RBI, walked back in the first. Ground ball on a nice play by Muscar. That came back in the 4th. Takes the 2-ball, no-strike offer in the dirt. Count works its way to 3-0. Biggest thing about this Danbury Westerners team as a whole, record says one thing, mindset says a completely different. On the bus, they're always like, don't let this team get hot. Don't let this team take a game or 2. Because it's a team that's seen ups, it's seen downs, and when you really make it all said and done at the end of July, heading into the postseason, it just comes down to mental and physical resiliency. And that's something this team possesses a whole lot of. Whether they can turn it into a playoff run, that's yet to be seen. 6-16 right now, looking on their way to win number 7. 3-1 just outside. He walked the number 2 hole hitter, Nolan Stevens, the second time he's taken the trip down the first base line.
This Newport offense just needs some type of spark. It's a little unfair on the offense to rely on them so much with the struggles, especially over the last couple of days that Newport has had, but that's the reality. If the Gulls want to come back in this game, now we're in the 6th inning, you got to chip away. It doesn't have to be a flurry of runs in one inning, although you take that, but if you can just put 2 runs on the board now, and all of a sudden it's a 5-run game, another one next inning, you make things interesting down the stretch. That needs to be the focus here for Newport.
First pitch in the dirt, and it becomes ball number 5 in the last 6 pitches for West. Someone who started out so hot, got the fly ball out from Duncan, struck out the first batter he saw in Breeny, and it looks like he's going to cap off the 6th inning with a fly ball out to the right side of the infield, although Diamore dropped it. It goes in between the first baseman and the second baseman, and the inning continues.
I don't know about you, Max. That one seemed kind of inevitable once he started backpedaling. It is so hard to track a pop-up at this time of night here at Cardines. And you could see, as soon as he drops his shoulder, he does not have any sort of idea where that ball's going to end up.
So he takes his bag at first. It becomes the second error of the night for Danbury. Now if you're West, you just got to work with what has been put on the table. Runners at the corners, but you're a pitch away from getting out of it. You kind of started to mention you don't need a flurry of runs. How big would one be here to get the mindset back on track? You look up, Newport still with 10 outs to play with in their back pocket. And a run here would cut it to a 6-run game. North Shore rattled off 11 in a row against Danbury the other night. But West comes right back with a strike to the Newport goal and Randy Seymour. A single and an RBI, a ball put in play to the shortstop that resulted in an RBI, and a ground out to the third baseman. Sweeper catches the top half of the zone. No, just barely misses.
Rios was halfway to the dugout before stopping. Still looking over.
Maybe the best pitch of the night so far by West that just does not get rewarded. Deuce is wild, lifted in the air to left field. Leonzi over to his glove side and makes the catch. Cap high. Partner, take us home on a Friday night here from Newport, Rhode Island. We're through 6, 12-5 the score.
But now it's time for the legendary goalie race, sponsored by People's Credit Union. As goalie and goalie junior get situated as our races are getting on the line, it's real simple. When I tell them to, they're going to go from the foul line to goalie and back person to do so, getting an ice cream voucher courtesy of our friends at People's Credit Union. So they don't have to start right. It looks like they're about to face up with the Westerners. Count them down with me. 3, 2, 1, go! Go, go, go! Or not.
Sam,
Oh, that cheater works.
Sam, that's a knock. He never touched it. I got it. You got it? Oh, thank you.
I think Cal Randall's going to win it. Cal, go, 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 go! Cal wins it, but he can't win the ice cream. Neck and neck, so I think it's the red shirt. Hopefully, Cal's performance is a foreshadowing of things to go with this screen, but we do have a long way to go.
We welcome you back here to Cardines Field in Newport. On to the 7th inning at long last here on ESPN Plus.
We lost the light.
12-5 lead. Are you all right, Max? That's
I'm
most
all right.
important. You're all right.
I'm all right.
We lost the light there. We're going to try to
Sam,
flip
you remember
that
when I
back
said
on.
that this isn't a spectator sport? I don't think I was talking about the lights.
That was an interesting moment. Now they're putting the camera on us. There's the
Why
light.
now?
There's the light Max has.
We
We're all
weren't
right
lying
here
to
in
you.
the booth.
We weren't lying to you. We did lose the light. That was not an act.
No, we were not lying. Max is correct. We're going to try to sort that out here in the booth. We appreciate the help we're receiving
We'll find
from
a way
Justin
to
here.
adapt and overcome.
We are going to adapt and overcome, and Leonzi at the plate as Newport tries to adapt and overcome a 7-run deficit as we're off and running in the 7th, and it's a first pitch strike as we're underway in what's a chaotic inning so far, at least for us in the booth.
Certainly is. Ray Leonzi trying to keep the good times rolling for himself. Home run, which doubled as the grand slam, and another nice hit ball.
Solid contact indeed, and it's past the glove of the running Randy Seymour. It was in no man's land between Seymour, Duncan, and Stevens, all of them converging towards the ball, but it dropped between them. It's a leadoff single for Ray Leonzi here in the 7th.
Just continues to swing the hot bat, does Leonzi. The 2 hits today to go along with the 2 hits yesterday, as well as a multi-hit game to close out the month of June. He's been swinging it well in the leadoff spot.
And that's just when you know you're swinging a good bat. When even balls you don't get a great piece of, just find a way to find a little bit of green grass in the shallow outfield.
All right, it seems like we appreciate the help here as the light situation has been sorted out somewhat. And right as I say that, I almost lose my pen. I did not, and meanwhile, it's a stolen base for Ray Leonzi.
Well, you might have lost your pen for a second. Ty Stark lost his command on that pitch, sending it all the way back to the backstop, allowing Leonzi to move up.
2-0 the count to Carl Schmidt, who had a double back in the first inning a long time ago, almost 3 hours ago. 2-0 from Stark. And it lands outside, ball 3.
And I don't know if it's just the rotation of Stark, because we've noticed it here in the broadcast booth, and we've seen it. You guys have told me that he's a very sidearm delivery guy. Don't know if it's the rotation where he's falling short to get him back to the plate, or if it's on the release point where he's missing outside. Haven't really been able to digest where the misses have been.
It seems like because he's missing low that it's a release point issue.
3-0 to Schmidt, and that's a wild one to say the least, and it allows Leonzi to advance to first as well, as Burley had to collect it off the backstop, and some rare command issues here for Ty Stark. Runners on the corners and still nobody out.
To go back to what you were saying, Max, right now, Ty Stark's normally at his best when he's releasing somewhere between a sidearm and a three-quarter release. Right now, he is almost parallel when he's releasing the ball. And that's why you're seeing a ridiculous amount of arm side run. The ball's coming to the backstop. When it's not driving down, it's staying too far low, and he's just having trouble finding the zone.
Here's Matt Buchero, who, surprisingly enough, doesn't have a hit yet tonight. Batting .571 through his first 3 games with Danbury, including a 6 RBI, 4 hit, 2 home run performance last night. Another wild one from Stark, and on to second goes Carl Schmidt. Now both runners in scoring position for the Westerners. The pitching woes continue here for the Gulls.
When it rains, it pours, and it's pouring right now in Cardine's Field in the wild pitch and free pass department. Another one that gets to the backstop, and another 2 runners in scoring position.
Yeah, and if I'm Coach Coombs, as much as you want to save your bullpen arms, you need Ty Stark to be able to come back in sometime in the next week with confidence. And so if he's struggling, you don't want to leave him out there to just continually miss. If you think he can fix it tonight, leave him out there, give him the chance to do it. But if he just doesn't have it tonight, you got to get someone else in there, because you need Ty Stark at his best for the avalanche of games coming up in the next 10 days.
And you said it, with how competitive this Coastal Division is, the last thing you want to do is an already troublesome bullpen to get even more of that trouble bug. I think you're right, partner.
One outside, so a 2-1 count here in the 7th inning, and it's looking dire for Newport with runners on second and third. Buchero, the number 3 hitter in the order and of the inning, takes one up high. And again, Stark finding himself down in the count, 3-1, in danger of loading up the bases here. The last thing Newport wants, considering the scoreline. And that's what happens. It's a 5-pitch walk from Ty Stark, and you can see he's just a bit frustrated, really, after dominating in his first 6 appearances of the summer before tonight.
Granted all the walks, and yes, it is a lot of them, but 12 runs on 7 hits for this Danbury Westerners offense, who doesn't have the hottest hitter in the league right now, Michael Iannazzo, who's not here, who doesn't have Jaden Sheffield, who was 13 hits on the season, snapped believe it was a 5-game hitting streak the other night, doesn't have their starting shortstop, Nelfi Lopez, here. This is a very good game for the Danbury Westerners offensively, and something they hope to build on as the season continues.
It is, and it's good enough, in fact, that Mike Coombs is signaling to the bullpen Ty Stark's night is done here in Newport, and looking to see if we can get a visual on who's coming in here.
It'll be the 4th pitcher of the night for the Gulls as Ty Stark exits the contest, and we will try to get a number on it for Newport. And if I'm not mistaken, that looks like it's Casey Odell.
It is Casey
for
Odell.
the Gulls. So Odell entering here in the 7th. And the last thing Newport wants is to go deeper into its bullpen, but that's what's happening. We'll break for a moment here in the top of the 7th here on ESPN Plus and tell you all about Casey Odell in a moment. Stick around.
Number 39, Odell. He's from Florida Southern College, a resident of Gainesville, Florida.
We're back in Newport. It's pitcher number 5 of the night for the Gulls, and that's Casey Odell, the right-handed pitcher out of Florida Southern, who is making his 6th appearance of the summer, utilized exclusively out of the bullpen. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts in 5 innings of work. His last appearance came 4 days ago here against Upper Valley, where he went in for an inning, didn't allow any hits, and recorded a strikeout. Hoping for more of the same here, but a little bit of a different situation with the bases loaded.
Yeah, Casey Odell, really a great story. Didn't have any scholarship offers when he came out of high school. Played at Santa Fe College, a JUCO, then moved to Florida Southern, where he has really excelled collegiately.
And the first pitch he delivers is fouled back by Kobe Mentzer, who has a single, a walk. He was one of the 3 players that had multiple plate appearances back in that never-ending 5th inning. On the ground, it takes an unlucky hop over the glove of the second baseman, Carmelo Musakia, and 2-run score for Danbury. Sometimes it's not your night, and that was summed up in one play for Newport right there.
Yeah, I mean, Carmelo Musakia, who we hadn't even had time to mention coming into the game, first ball hit at him. He's lined up perfectly, does everything right, and then, well, we've said Cardines is unique. What we haven't said is it is not forgiving. And right now, the Gulls just, it's not their night, as you said, Sam, and this is going to be one they're going to want to forget for a long time.
First pitch swinging goes Diamore. This is hit to deep center field, and that one is out of here. It's a 3-run shot on the first pitch Dante Diamore sees, and it's getting ugly here in Newport. The Westerners are taking off here at Cardines Field, 16-5. It's becoming a rout.
Actually, correct that. It is now
17
to
yes,
5.
I'm losing track.
No, not you. Scoreboard was behind. The Westerners are scoring so fast, our scoreboard operator can't even keep up with them. 17 runs through 6+ here for the Westerners. And I think the less said about these 2 games and the bullpen performance, the better for the Gulls.
Home run off the bat at Diamore becomes number 20 of the year for the Westerners, and for him, a good one. Hadn't hit a home run since June 24th against Ocean State. Looking for him to bust out of a slump. Told you he was 2 for 20 coming into tonight. And how about that stat line for Dante? 4 walks, 3-run blast.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first pitch he swung at tonight.
I think you're right.
It might have been, yeah. And what a pitch to swing at. What a swing it was for Diamore. 2-2 the count, meanwhile, to Hayden Miller. He fans on that one, and Odell records a much-needed strikeout for the first out of the inning. Danbury has 9 hits tonight, 2 of them home runs, and those 2 home runs have accounted for 7 of their 17 runs.
I mean, you look at the scoreboard, right, and it's just astounding. Danbury currently has more errors and only has 1 more hit than the Gulls, and they have a 12-run lead.
They've also struck out 9 times.
This is a game that if you just gave those stats, you would expect this game to be maybe 7-5 instead of 17-5.
0-2 the count. Check swing. He went, but it gets free to the backstop. Burley has to slide to that ball, and not even close to having the ability to make the throw. So it's a K for Odell, but Rios reaches first because, of course, he does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know at this point. I remember, whatever it is, 4 hours ago or whatever it was, it feels like eternity, when we were watching BP, the position players and the pitchers were having a bet as to who would win if they switched roles and played against each other. At this rate, we might see one of those position players pitch the 8th inning.
We are trending in that direction, aren't we? 0-1 to Ryan Persano. Breaking ball down the middle for strike 2 by Odell. 17-5. Danbury leads. The Westerners entered today with a record of 6-16. 3 fewer wins than any other team in the NECBL. It's upstairs for ball 1, but sometimes the game of baseball can be funny, and Danbury appears to be well on its way to sweeping the 2-game season series against Newport, scoring 27 combined runs against the Gulls now, and that drills Persano on the back. Another hit by pitch. 2 runners are on for Danbury with 1 out. And as we roll on to Jacoby Davis, we had 12 batters in the 5th. This will be the 9th of the 7th.
Only difference is this inning has gone by at light speed compared to how fast the 5th has gone by. Becomes the 4th hit by pitch of the night. And for Davis, you guys said it earlier, a chance to really break out of a slump here. No pressure at all for the man out of Cornell. A chance to put one in play in a big way.
Davis lets it go. It's in the dirt from Odell for ball 1. Persano, the runner at first. Rios at second. The first 5 batters in the Danbury order have all scored this inning. Up high from Odell to make it 2-0.
And just to really encapsulate numerically the sort of night it's been, there have now been 17 Danbury batters to reach base without putting the ball in play.
Not sure I've seen that happen before.
That's got to be a first.
Yeah. We are 3 hours, 3 minutes in. It's a 2-1 count to the 9th batter of the inning, Jacoby Davis. On deck is Ray Leonzi, who started this inning off with a single. Strike from Odell. And finally, the crowd with something to somewhat cheer about.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the crowd and how packed it was when this game started and how dead silent it is.
Jacoby Davis chased after the pitch down low. Burley decides to throw to second, but back to the bag in time was Rios.
I don't know where Jacoby Davis was going because you cannot run when first base is occupied in less than 2 outs.
Suppose that might be instincts taking over.
Definitely has to be. Also, I think the swing was a little bit of instincts. We saw it from up here. Wasn't so happy with the previous pitch and how it got called. Kind of felt like anything was fair game for a strike at that point. Kind of a protective swing and an unlucky break for the center fielder.
Well, I'd imagine the strike zone's got to be a little bit bigger when it's a 12-run game.
It's a nicely executed breaking ball in at 76 for a strike.
Leonzi back up for his 2nd time of the inning.
Popped high up in the air left side. That one is another lost ball to America's Cup Ave. 0-2, 2 outs. Odell trying to put an end to another forgettable inning from Newport's perspective. He got him. Swing and a miss, a 3-pitch punch out in a 10-batter inning. The Westerners score 5 more here in the 7th, highlighted by a Dante Diamore 3-run shot. We're back in a moment. Time to stretch here in Newport.
Drink, launch, hydrate. Win the moment.
We're back here in Newport. Take Me Out to the Ball Game, being sung by our legendary PA announcer, Don. For the fans that remain here at Cardines, it does look like, Max, we have a defensive change, so we'll try to sort that out. It's not on the mound. West is still out there for the Westerners, but it looks to be a change in the outfield, if I'm not mistaken.
It will be right field. It will be Christian Bernardini who takes over the right field position. Everything else, for the moment, appears to have stayed the same. Just waiting on a second baseman at this point. No Hayden Miller out on the field just yet, unless I can't see him. Nope,
I
he's
think he's
standing at the
shifting
second
over.
base
Yeah,
bag.
yeah,
Only
yeah.
Christian Bernardini to change. That's who you see on your screen right there. The man at a St. John's University will take over right for Menser tonight. Menser didn't get the chance to give him his flowers because a pitch after he got on base, Dante Diamore sent one over the fence, but on a 4-game hitting streak now, and a guy who now has 9 hits in his last 4 games.
Well, that's an impressive streak. Another guy who's hitting the ball really well is Dixon Williams, who digs in to start the bottom half of the 7th.
And a massive mountain to climb. That might be an understatement for Newport. 1-0 to Dixon Williams, who singled all the way back in the first inning about 3 hours ago. Strike taken inside part of the zone, right near the waist.
Be interested to see how many of the Gulls who are on the bench get an AB in the next 2-3 innings.
Could expect plenty of substitutions. Considering the scoreline, high pop-up, foul ground, and it is unplayable for the third baseman, Prisano. He almost had a chance at it. It went right up against that fence. Not much foul ground here at Cardines, but nearly a play to make for Prisano.
Looks like somebody made a play on it, though. Lucky fan gets the ball.
Yeah, look at that. It went
It's
right
the
over the
first foul
fence.
ball that the children have actually been able to chase because it didn't end up in the street.
It's very rare that happens.
Yeah, the ratio of balls in Cardines confines to the ratio that's outside of it, it's got to be like 100 to 1.
I mean, yeah, you look at the angle. A ball has to go almost straight.